noise. Going live.
We're going live.
We're doing the thing.
We're probably live.
We might be
We
live.
should probably check the thing. Yes,
It
we're
says we're
live.
live.
Yeah, good.
Hi.
69 concurrent viewers.
Nice.
Professional. It's 70 now. It's ruined. Show's over. Thanks for coming, everyone. All right.
Go home.
All right. It is Saturday, the 8th of June, 2024. And
Apparently it's illegal because it's June.
it was illegal last week. I'm over it now.
Okay.
Slightly. Anyway, yes, hello everyone. How are we all doing? It was me, says Lead Farmer. I see. Good. Yes, hello everyone. There's hellos and yes, and I am here and hellos. I see you're off the cider today. Oh, there will be cider. I'm probably going to get some cider.
Wrong side. There we go.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, there's cloudy cider. Yeah. I've been slowly going through the red wine.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been taking the bottles home and having them, which has been agreeable. Man, I tell you, if I go to a VR meet and just put red wine into the travel mug that I use when I'm in VR, because it's obviously spill resistant, it is shockingly easy to knock back red wine when it's not in a wine glass that you're sipping from, kind of thing. So, because normally,
I have reasons that I now need to get a VR headset.
yeah, just because I'm used to just that cup I'll just fill with water or juice or or a coffee or something, and just while I'm in VR, I'm usually in the habit of just drinking the drink to get it out the way so I can put it down. So I'll just be and then so the last night and last week I'd been just filling it mostly with red wine. So I've got 350, no, actually it's a 300 ml cup. So yeah, 300 mils of red wine in this thing. I'll just be and 5 minutes later I'll finish that off and be like, oh, that was quite a lot of red wine in a very short space of time. I should probably slow down a bit.
I thought I had envisioned it being one of the 1 litre ones.
No.
And you just finishing an entire 750ml bottle.
No.
In 25 minutes.
No. I definitely had a bit too much
on the floor.
Yeah, I definitely had a bit too much last week, and last Saturday I had a headache while we were on stream. I was just drinking wine last night, Today I'm kind of fine because I had the last just over third of the bottle kind of thing, and I had another bottle that I brought home and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to start that because I don't need to. So yeah. All right.
I have a 1 litre coffee at work every morning. Yes.
The VR police would pull you over. Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Please walk in a straight line as your leg slowly veers off to the side. I'm not drunk. It's my trackers. I swear.
Oh. I'm just imagining a VR world where just the whole world is designed to make you feel like you're slightly drunk. So when you walk in a straight line, it's just slowly moving you or something like that. So you'd be like, what the fuck,
You're ever so gently drifting.
Yeah. It's ever so slight. So if you stop, you can barely see it, but it's just enough to make you just constantly be like, something is wrong, I think that would be extremely fun. You just call the world something is wrong,
Oh, you also make it it's the perspection distortion houses.
Yeah, where it's just ever so everything is just 1 degree rotated.
And also just the doors are the wrong size for the room, so it makes the room fall shorten and things like that.
Yeah.
And you're just I'm just going to that door. I'm just going to the door.
I love it, yeah.
Completely mess with people in VR.
Oh, so someone must have met. I need to go looking for something like that. That must exist, because you could do so many fun things with that, of just a VR fun house of just nonsense.
And not a non-consistent reality, but
yeah.
VR.
And you'd have to have a disclaimer on it saying this, you need strong VR legs to use this world. Please make sure that you have, if you do not have a fallover space around you, please do not be in here. But because if you're on a tile floor or something, maybe consider putting down some pillows, because it's going to get weird.
Oh no, you know hotels, like the really big ones have super long corridors.
Yeah.
And some of them have patterns that really awkwardly repeat as you go into the distance.
Yes.
And they completely skew the shape of the corridor.
Yeah. And they're designed to make it so it's unpleasant to run or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, but just stuff like that.
Yeah.
In VR, it was like, oh.
This would be very amusing. Yeah. What was
Quentin says H.P. Lovecraft would be proud of you. It's like, yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I last week someone was had an avatar that had a funky shader on it, and it was a weird, like, just negative color shader. But what was even more crazy about it is the shader had a really high render priority, which meant it would appear in front of other things. So, like, you could hold up your hand and you could still see their silhouette through your hand, kind of thing. And it was a fairly, like, it was a reasonably obnoxious thing, and they were using it as a bit of a joke, but it was kind of weird because if you saw them across the room, even though there would be other people standing in front of them, you could still see them through other people. And it was just a really odd effect, kind of thing. And just like, just Z render priority in shaders just makes for some really weird effects, because you're like, this should be occluded, but I'm still seeing them, even though that person isn't see-through and things like that, Very odd. What's on the menu? Oh, Karen.
So I was just thinking, you do that to someone without telling them. You just change a random model in their VR. It's just like...
This is also confounded by the fact of, on a VR chat avatar, there's a setting, there's settings for the eyes. There's two sliders that's called lazy and excited, which is just how, and that's just the idle mode for the eyes. So naturally, it's just how much the eyes will just look around the room, naturally, because obviously most people don't have eye tracking.
Yeah.
So if you set that all the way to excited, the eyes will just constantly be looking around all the time. Whereas if you set them to lazy, they'll just generally stay in the same place. And so most people, again, they have it in the middle, so the eyes will just wander a little bit, but not too much. And then there's another one that is confident and something else. And that's basically how much the avatar will maintain eye contact. And if you have that all the way up to confident, the avatar will lock eye contact with you, the viewer, at all times. So, and you can spot when people have done this, because there are certain avatars where just from across the room, they have just locked eye contact with you at all times. And because obviously that's locally rendered, any viewer will think that they are locked eye contact with them. And there are just some people, like, are you aware of the boy kisser?
No.
Okay, there's a little furry character that's called Boy Kisser.
Okay.
And he's just a little furry guy, and with a little blushy face. And I've seen that avatar quite a few times, and it has the slider on max confidence. So it'll just be standing off to the side of the room, sort of facing in that direction, but dead locked eye contact with you wherever you are. And you're talking to someone, you're like,
I'm in danger.
Yeah. It's just, so yeah, it's very funny. It's very funny. There are lots of weird and funny things that people do with these settings.
It feels a bit wrong to have a label for your eyes to be lazy when it doesn't move them away from your focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of...
Well, it's funny you should say that, Teltac. At one point, I'd set my avatar up incorrectly, and for the eye setup, you have to anything on an avatar that moves has a bone, which is just effectively just something that can move around.
The eye bone's connected to the skull bone.
Because your eyes can move, you have eye bones on a model, basically. And I had set one of the eye bones incorrectly, so my avatar basically had one eye that didn't move and the other one did move. So someone was just like, and the funny thing is, someone was just like, is this a quirk, or is your character supposed to have a lazy eye? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I pull up a mirror, I'm like, oh no, that's not supposed to look like that. And I just had one eye that was just dead straightforward, and the other one is just doing the usual animations. So, yeah, we talk about eye trackers in headsets. Not specifically, we're just talking about eye and gaze setup on avatars. Anyway, avatar with a glass eye. Basically, yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
It saved my life.
What's on the menu for today? So, on the menu for today, a couple of things. Last week we were speccing up computers and stuff like that, and we found this cheap case. Well, I say we found it. There was this Antec AX20 case, and we were looking at these, and these things were like £34 or something like that. And we were like, wow, that looks really good, and it's really cheap. So I bought 4 of them. Because I'm like, there's no possible way I'll lose money on these. I'm just buying a bunch of them for stock. So I did. So we've got one of these, and I thought, let's bust one of these out and just look at it and just see what 34 quid gets you with the Antec brand these days. I think it's going to be cheap and nasty, but I've kind of got this mad hope that it's going to exceed expectations and be like, what the hell, man? I should buy like 10 of these, you know.
We're hoping it's going to be cheap and not nasty.
Yeah.
Just cheap.
I think it's going to be just another Chinese case, but with an Antec badge on it. But yeah.
I like the first line of your address.
3B Salisbury Street, 3B Salisbury Street, 3B Salisbury Street, Dorset, Shaftesbury. So yeah.
Just in case you forgot which number you were delivering to.
So yes, we're going to have a look at one of those. I've got a couple more bits to go in that computer that we started working on. So we're going to put that 5700X board that I put in the other case. I thought we'd move that into here, stick the power supply and SSD in it. And I forgot to buy a CPU cooler, but I've got an AMD cooler that we can stick on it. It's only a Wraith Spire, so it's not going to be good long term, but it just means that we can fire that up and just be like, what does this thing look like as a build, you know? Do I want to use this for this build and such like? And then the other thing that I thought we'd do is, it's Computex, and all of the tech YouTube channels are pumping out content from Computex. And I thought it'd be kind of cool just to have a look at their highlight, just to have a look through the subscriptions and be like, oh yeah, Thermalright released a bunch of coolers. Let's talk about that. And Noctua have released a new cooler, and their pricing is kind of hysterical. Let's talk about that. And just basically just talk about our opinions of stuff that came out of Computex that caught our eyes, basically. Because, yeah, I think there's some good conversation starters there for stuff that, you know, I mean, maybe we'll find some different opinions. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes. You spent $700 on an eye tracker for your lazy eye. What does that mean? Like, are we talking about, like, for VR stuff or what? What are we talking about there? So
do you have a knife?
I was going to say, yeah, let's bust this thing open and...
Oh yeah, you do. It's there.
Oh, yeah, I did put one on this bench. Knife on every bench, he says confidently.
Did you spend money?
Did you spend money in the store to your right?
Oh. On Street View.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see, yes. No.
Not personally.
Hang on a sec, I'm going to put this on the floor and pull it out. Ooh. Static shock incoming in... Oh no, we're okay. Normally that's the point where you get the little static shocks up your hands. You're like, ow, 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 ow. Okay, yeah, no. For a moment I was like, this is very lightweight, this case.
Oh, yeah, it's this one. I like that one.
Ow. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, yes, it is just one of the Chinese cases, which is to be expected. You know, that's what it would have been, but...
Part of me wants to think how easy it would be to set up some sort of IR tracker and attach things to everything in your shop. There are too many objects. You'd hit the 32-bit limit.
Yeah. people often make jokes about sticking a tracker on like their cat or their dog, just so when their cat or their dog crosses into their VR play space, just a little thing will move across and they'll be like, oh, dog, you know.
Just attach one to the top of your child.
Child.
Get out of my head, Charles.
Okay, right. Well, so
I quite like that.
yeah, it's not bad. Like again, for the it's actually got. Is that a metal front grille? I can't tell. I'm just trying to see what part is separate. I'm going to pull off this front
I think
grille.
it comes
Hold
off the bottom with effort.
on. Yeah. Hold on a moment. Bloody hell. Yep, that sounded like a crunch. Okay, I did catch one of them there. The last one to come off, it went sideways a little bit. That's fine. Oh yeah, no, that is very much plastic. I was like, is that metal? But no, it is very much plastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm not a fan of, no pun intended, the top vents have got that problem where the holes aren't big enough. And like that, those are super restrictive, those kinds of vents.
Oh yeah.
So so that's a bit of a bummer, but like to be honest, and that's also a bit of a shame because it's a reasonably, oh, it's not that tall, this case. So no, I was about to say I think you'd top mount the radiator in there, but no, I don't think you'd actually want to put top fans on this. And yeah, that's it's not super tidy, the top, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I don't think I would use this for a mid-range build. However, for a cheap case, I think that looks quite smart. And yeah, I think the styling on it is nice. And the front grille, I think, is completely fine.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. It is very much a 35 quid case. Like, it is, like, I would say I don't know what I expected, but I think that's about what I'd expect for this class of case. But yeah, also, I don't know, I think it looks quite smart. I like the form factor. It's a short boy case, which I'm quite a fan of, because it means for computers where you don't have a big graphics card in there, it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of empty space in the case. Yeah, what's the... is there an RGB controller in there? Oh no! Oh no!
What?
The fans are just Molex.
Oh,
they're just 2-pin Molex. They're not even 3-pin fans.
Oh, wild.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's a bummer.
That's a deal breaker. Like, I'm not going to send them back, but like, yeah. I'll have to see how well those perform if you 7-volt them or something, because I'm not running fans at 100%. They're loud as heck. Like, my biggest grievance with the Chinese cases is whenever I see them with like Molex fans on, they've got a triple front intake running at 100% because they're Molex fans, and they're just loud. They're noisy as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, Molex fans, that's no bueno. That's very much a, I will not buy this case again. Just straight off the bat, that's a deal breaker. That's extremely saddening for me. Like, I hope the RGB at least looks nice on them, but like they're going to be stuck on rainbow puke, I would assume. Would you like a screwdriver?
That actually needs a screwdriver of some kind.
We'll have to power these fans up in a second, just see how bad that is. There's the P1. Cheap case goes brr, yeah. Plug the fans in before passing judgment. I mean, that's fair. We'll see how bad they actually are, but I'm not holding my breath.
I don't quite follow what the point of these are. To me, it's kind of a case of just why?
So, yeah, when it comes to making cases, there's two philosophies for the rear panel design here. This is what I call the flat design, where the back of the case is dead flat, and then there's on on more premium cases, particularly like Corsair and stuff like that, they will inset the back panel. So there is an inset, and that creates the inset for the PCI plates to screw onto. But doing that requires a lot more metal folding and stuff around the back. So cheap cases always go for the flat design. That means you've got to have the PCI bits stick out a little bit, so there's something to screw onto. And then that means you have to have this just hole in the back. So then they have that weird blanking plate that just fills the hole kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of annoying because now there's that cover plate that needs to go there.
Yes, surprisingly annoying.
So yeah, so that's while that's not great, it's kind of neither here nor there. Just because like I wouldn't expect anything else from a case that costs less than. I wouldn't expect anything else from a case that costs less than £80, to be honest. You have to go way up into the actual premium price tags before I would expect something other than that. So.
Yeah.
Why not give them a whirl? Yeah, we'll do that in a minute.
In a surprise to no one, you've only got single orientation for the power supply.
Oh yeah, yeah. In a way, that's a little bit of a bummer because it's got a vented power supply enclosure. So like, all they have to do is just put in the extra holes. So yeah, that's just an annoyance. Like you could have the power. There's nothing preventing you from that because it's got the airflow. Just drill the extra holes, man. What's wrong with you? But yeah, maybe they do it that way round just in case you haven't got the vented enclosure. Because obviously this kind of case is, you order this from a case manufacturer and then you customize it. You say, I want it with top vents. I want it with the vented power supply enclosure. And then here is the design for my plastic front panel that I will put on it. And so on and so forth. And yeah, you find a man on Alibaba and you tell him what options you want for your custom designed case. So whenever someone says, oh, we make our own custom cases, no, you don't. You talk to a man in China and he makes your case for you.
Yeah.
And you know, there's nothing wrong with having production partners, obviously, but yeah, this is not an Antec case. This is that one manufacturer that makes all of those cases, all of the budget brands, you know, GameMax, Aerocool, that's the people I was trying to think of.
Colink,
that was the other. I kept thinking
possibly CIT.
I kept wanting to say Kodak, and I'm like, no, not Kodak. Although it wouldn't surprise me if someone's making computer cases under the Kodak brand these days.
It's not like they've got anything else.
Yeah, they'll sell the name to anyone. So yeah, I'm going to stick the front panel back on.
It's reasonably tight though.
Oops. I will glue that at some point. However, it won't fall off because there's 6 of them.
And they're reasonably vicious.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm really sad about those fans because, yeah, like it's usable. It's usable as a cheap case, but my expectations were low, but I'm still a bit disappointed. But on the other hand, again, it's like, it's 35 quid, man. Yeah. But I think the thing is that when we saw it, it was like £55 discounted to 35. So
was it? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of had this mad dream that it was actually going to be hey, that's not terrible and it's on sale. But no, it's actually just a £35 case. What did you expect? So you know, like I'm not heartbroken, but I had this mad dream that it would actually be not terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh no, this is not a £60 case.
Well, that's it. I had that mad because the list price on it was 60 quid. I was like, maybe it's actually not that bad, and this is just a really good deal. But no, anyone who's paying 60 quid for this is a mug, quite frankly, and they saw you coming. So yeah, kind of sad about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this is also why I kind of wanted to do a bit of discovery on this, because I'm just like, no, because I said to Caradog before the show, I was like, oh yeah, we'll do a bit of discovery, and I can say sort of, oh, do people want to see a review of this kind of thing? I'm like, no, I'm not wasting time reviewing this case. I've got better things to do. Like, yeah, I could do a 10-minute review and be like, it's another cheap Chinese case. What are you expecting? You know?
Yeah.
Are the fans removable? They are removable. Yeah, they're screwed from the inside, so it's a bit of a faff to remove them, but they are very much removable. So you could swap them out for other fans, but like, if you're paying for other fans to go into this case, no, don't. Just buy a better case.
Yeah.
So yeah, power them up. Let's do that. Let's do that. Just for the lols, let's just build up that other one in this and just actually build it up. Let's entertain this as a serious thing and be like, what does it look like if we actually give it the time of day and put some good hardware in there? So yeah, right. I'm just going to grab the. I've got the GameMax Airhawk here. Oh no, it's the Aerohawk. Aerohawk? It's the Aerocool Airhawk. This was one of the other cheap Chinese cases that I'm looking to get rid of. But like, as a comparison, this one is also a cheap case. But like, and this, I don't know what the going rate on this these days is. But like, if this costs 60 quid, I'd be like, you know what, fair enough. It's got 2 big RGB fans on it that are 3-pin. Oh no, they're 4-pin fans, I think. I might be wrong. I need to double check. You know, it comes with RGB fans and an RGB controller. You know, that's worth 50 quid at least. I would go so far as to say it's worth £60. It's still got the same build quality, so don't expect it to be a tank. But this is what I actually expected, something along these lines. So yeah, right. I'm gonna take everything out of here. I'm super sad about those fans just because Molex is bad. And there's going to be someone in the comments because, man, every now and then the Molex brigade comes out and they're like, Molex is fine. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not fine. It's bad. It's obsolete. It's bad. You can't speed control a Molex fan without rewiring it or putting it through a specific Molex fan controller, which basically doesn't exist anymore. Unless you buy something ancient and terrible. So it's like, no, don't defend this. Molex is terrible and obsolete.
The best point is Molex doesn't even make the Molex.
Molex would be fine, but it's AMP. Oh yeah. I understand that the Molex connector isn't actually Molex, but everyone calls it Molex, and I'm going to continue calling it Molex.
Yeah, I was going to say a YouTube short though, because you said you were going to do more short content.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, I could do just a flying visit. I think that might also be interesting, just because Antec have had some coverage from Gamers Nexus recently about new cases. That's the other reason why I was kind of a little bit interested in this. But yeah, I suppose I could do a YouTube short and just say, yeah, by the way, this is that cheap Antec case. This is what you're actually getting. No, I'm afraid it is just another cheap Chinese case. It's got Antec written on it, but it's Antec in brand only, you know.
Yeah.
You will get a case that functions, but this is what you're actually getting when you buy a cheap case like this. Yeah. Top vents that don't flow air, 4-pin, Molex style fans with no control or RGB control, and just biscuit tin build quality. However, I found this on, I think after I bought a couple of these, I ended up paying like £35 per case. And like for 35 quid, sure, I could slap a load of just I could build a load of refurb PCs in these that I'm aiming to sell at like £300 or £400. And that makes those PCs viable. You know, I've still got, like I've got an Intel 4th Gen i7 build that I could slap into one of these, you know.
It's also to give it the credit that's due. It's the cheapest. It's the cheapest case. It's for sale in the UK according to UK PC Part Picker that has any sort of front venting.
Yes, and
anything at all.
Yeah, that's a good point, because by virtue of the fact that it is a airflow style case with front vents, means that it is actually functional.
And it's got holes at the back. It's got holes at the top.
Yeah.
So there will at least be the possibility for air to move.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm not saying put your 14900K in this.
No.
But
yeah, but your computer's not going to choke and perish in here, you know.
Yeah. The only thing you might want to do is rip the front off and take the dust filter out.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
so you've actually got a chance of decent airflow through it.
Yeah,
But
I think that dust filter is going to be a little bit restrictive. I'd probably give it the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, if you wanted to improve it, then yes, I would probably go no filter. And for the sake of, the thing about dust filters is a good dust filter will keep a lot of dust out of your computer, but it doesn't keep all the dust out. So like you're going to have to do maintenance on your computer now and then anyway, filter or no.
I think if it didn't have a tempered glass side panel and was just the airflow front, you could also sell it as an office machine.
Yeah, because at that point it would more or less pass the wedding test, and like those are RGB fans, but a little snipping with some side cutters, and you can just snip the LEDs on it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not sure where they are. Actually, they're center illuminated, so I don't know if you could do that. Yeah. Don't know. Might be interesting to sacrifice one of these actually in the name of science and be like, if you wanted to, but then it's still got the tempered glass side panel, but I don't know, that if you killed the RGB on it and just built it as an office machine, it would still be reasonably smart.
I mean, it'd be entirely fine, I think.
Yeah, I'm always a bit uncertain as to whether I feel a bit weird selling an office computer with a glass side panel on it.
I think it depends on how much the case cost and how much
a
cheaper option would be without tempered glass.
Yeah,
because like, if you can buy an option without tempered glass that's half the case price, then yes, it seems stupid for an office box.
Yeah,
but given this is functionally the cheapest computer case.
Yeah, because I've brought this up on several occasions that it is surprisingly difficult to find a cheap ATX case that doesn't have a glass side panel.
That's also actually in any way
that's remotely viable.
Modern, not 80 quid.
Yeah, that's not made by CIT because although that much being said, to be honest, the build quality on this is about on par with CIT. So
we'll see.
It's kind of neither here nor there.
If we plug in the USB and it doesn't catch fire, no, it will be high quality.
Right, let's put that to one side. I'm going to stick a CPU cooler on this super quick.
Don't power the front fans, it's an office box. I guess, but also now it's a computer case with no fans.
I mean, for an office computer though,
I'd still want a case fan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could take out the front fans and just stick a black 120 on the back or something like that.
Yeah.
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 Right.
Although certainly for the English, certainly for me and my use case, there we go. I'm considering getting just the mini PCs to replace the office ones. Next time.
Yeah. They are looking pretty good, those little mini PCs.
Especially if they're a mini PC that runs off of less than 65 watts. Because then I'll just plug them via Type-C into the monitor. Because the monitor has 85 watt power delivery. Yeah.
Mad, but not impossible.
And it's just like, okay. Fractal design focus G.
Focus G.
Focus G. Oh, it's 60 quid and it looks like a £12 case.
Oh, this old thing.
It's absolute. Yeah, no, it's also like an acrylic side panel.
Yeah, I was going to say that case has been around since the dawn of time. And
it's 60 bloody pounds.
60 quid they want for that. Yeah, that's just brand. Yeah.
No.
60 quid with plastic side panel. The problem, I'm kind of fussy. If you're going to have a a window on the side panel, it has to be glass. Yeah. Because plastic, it scratches if you look at it, basically. It will scratch up and it will just look dreadful after not a lot of time. And, it's extremely difficult to keep them in good condition. It can be done. You can take care of them. Like the Adamant IT YouTube rig, the Adamant Tower, as I call it, was for a very long time in a Corsair 400C, which was it was one of the early one of the early cases that had a hinged side panel on it, and it was a hinged plastic Windows side panel, and it was very cool. And I took really good care of it, and it's in pretty good condition. It's not in that case anymore, but I still have the case, and it's in pretty good condition. But even then, you know, the side panel has gotten scuffed over time, and it just looks like plastic. You can't escape that. And like when you compare that to a tempered glass that always looks crystal clear, yeah, just anything that's not tempered glass these days. And by virtue of the fact that a £35 case has a glass side panel on it, it's like there's no excuse not to have glass. It's so cheap.
That's ridiculous.
What are you looking at?
Pack of 3 Thermalright TL-C12C fans, £11 for a pack of 3.
Damn. Yeah, okay, so this is why I kind of wanted to talk about this, about like stuff we'd seen at Computex and stuff, because like Gamers Nexus did some coverage of Thermalright's booth at Computex, and the first thing is the Thermalright booth at Computex, they had just so many products there, and Gamers Nexus were just like, we can't test or talk about all of these because there's so many of them. But also just the prices that they were listing there. They were just like, here's a new cooler that's going to be coming out. It's got 6 heat pipes and it's a single 120mm tower design, and this one's going to be $20. And you're just like, that's nuts. There's a new, there's a new not silent assassin. What's that one again called? Peerless Assassin. You know, new Peerless Assassin coming out at like $35 again, kind of thing. And nice. I thought those Peerless Assassins, I thought everyone was just fire sailing stock of those, but no, that's just how much it costs. So it's just like, damn, Thermalright are just pumping out like cheap cooling equipment, and like it's good as well. It, you know, I'm not going to pretend that it's the best, but it's really good for it, and for the price you're paying for it, it's kind of bonkers, really.
Yeah. Teltac, if I get pies in the office, you're providing full-time support.
Oh no.
Don't Raspberry Pis have the heady heights of 4 gigs of RAM maximum and like one singular core equivalent to a Celeron from 4 years ago? I'm not entirely certain how that's going to run Outlook or a web browser. Or
we need some more standoffs in here.
I'll send you my contract soon. Okay, that's fine. I'll just build Windows PCs myself and save £12,000. Citrix is dead. Citrix is terrible. I paid lots of money to not use Citrix.
Windows terminal services? Just build a really fat local server and just have everyone remote into that?
Yeah. Or just, you know, buy mini PCs at like 290 quid each with i3s in.
Where is... I'm just going to get my...
Deep Cool Tower looked good with the vapor chamber. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Deep Cool's new cooler that has a vapor chamber on the bottom and stuff. That looks cool. I can't remember what the exact model name was going to be. Yeah. Also, it's quote-unquote only $120, which I didn't think was bad for a bonkers kind of out-there air cooler.
Yeah. I'm a lot more interested in that than the new Noctua, which, doesn't have a vapor chamber or anything. I think that vapor chamber is going to, well, I don't know, it's hard to tell. The problem is that a lot of them, that they were all saying sort of, oh, it's going to be 3 or 4 degrees cooler, and I'm just like, I mean, that's not exactly change your world cooler, you know. I know that's, people are saying, that's quite a big difference. I'm like, yeah, okay, but I don't really care about a couple of degrees. I'm certainly not going to pay... I'm not going to splash 3 figures out on a new cooler to save 3 or 4 degrees. You know, I'd save 10 degrees because that's probably enough that you can step up your power limits a little bit further or something like that.
Yeah.
Although I think that's wishful thinking, though. You know, But also we've got the problem that, just coming back around to the whole Noctua thing, Noctua's released announced the new NHD15, and everyone's going, oh, Noctua, and it's going to be $150. And we're just like, okay, I'm going to go and spend literally half that money on a Liquid Freezer 3 now and get 10 or 20 degrees less,
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I think that's the thing that's dumb for me, is just the fact of I could buy the NHD 15 G2, or I could buy 2 Liquid Freezer 3s.
Yeah. And obviously,
and I would have better performance.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning that Arctic's pricing on the Liquid Freezer 3 is just mind-blowing. That, it's they've released something that is crazy cheap for its performance and is going to be an extremely difficult act to follow.
Yeah.
But that everyone else is pricing their air coolers for around $100 ish, with
certainly for their top end stuff.
Yeah.
But we've seen Deep Cool and Thermalright do $35 ones as well.
That's it. So that's the thing. Is just if Noctua are saying, look, we can't match Arctic, then that's reasonable. But then everyone else has at least got sane prices as opposed to insane prices.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip that middle one so I don't have to remove the PCH cover every time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of, even if it's got sort of forever and a day socket support on the Noctua cooler, it's still a case of cool, but I'm getting better performance for less money.
Yeah.
And
also, I'm not sure how much that's really worth, because let's ask the question: how often have you actually had to change that? Because I saw a comment where someone said, oh, I've had a Noctua cooler for 9 years now, had 3 different socket changes, and Noctua shipped me new mounting gear for free each time. And let's just analyze what probably happened there. They probably started out on AM3, then at some point they moved to Intel, and then
could have gone from 1150X to 21 to socket 2011.
Yeah.
And then gone on to
AM4 or something.
LG 1700.
Oh, okay, yeah,
say,
maybe.
Or AM4.
Yeah. Either way, I think examples like that, and that's an extreme example of 9 years of ownership and 3 socket changes. I doubt anyone else can say the same. And the Intel socket design has changed once recently and is not likely to change again anytime soon. And the AMD socket, the last time that changed was going on to AM4. That was a few years ago, and
that was end of 2016.
Yeah, and the AM5 cooler layout has not changed, and AM5 is now announced to be supported until 2027. So we're not going to see the AMD socket change. We're not going to see the AMD cooler pattern change for the next 5+ years. So if you're if you buy a new cooler, it's going to come with Intel and AMD mounting hardware. So even if you decide to switch teams during your ownership of that cooler, you already have the mounting. So what are you planning for? And I know it's easy. Obviously we never know when things are going to change, but right now, we know for a fact that right now, if you splashed out on a top-end CPU cooler, you're not going to need to buy different mounting hardware for it during the lifetime of your PC, unless you lose all the hardware. And it seems daft to spend 2 or 3 times the amount on the cooler, because you're oh, well, I'll probably lose the hardware and I'll want to get new hardware for free, kind of thing. So I don't think...
My counterpoint to that, though, is I messaged Arctic support and said, I've lost the mounting hardware for my Liquid Freezer 2. Where can I buy some? And they said, oh, give me your address.
Yeah. So, the most charitable read.
And it's just kind of 6 or 1 half of it.
That's it. So that's the problem, is all the people who are saying, oh, Noctua are worth it because of the great customer support and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm I'm sure it's fantastic, but do you actually need that customer support? I don't think you do.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. And so
I think there's a conversation to be had about the fans on their own, slightly more so. Certainly in non-desktop environments, just because they do have a longer service life, sort of a proven longer service life.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense, in situations where that, where accessing the system is really difficult, there is a value there.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of like, it's difficult to argue with that when the fan is not the best performing. It doesn't have the highest static pressure, it doesn't have the highest airflow available in the market, but is like the most expensive kind of thing. It's kind of, it's a really hard sell on that front, and it's just kind of, I feel like you're not buying it for data-driven reasons these days.
And on top of that as well, just other products in Noctua's product stack kind of demonstrate that a lot of their prices are not rooted in value for money. Kind of like how they announced the series of Noctua home things, which was basically just mounting hardware that allowed you to mount computer fans or Noctua fans in, like, for example, they've got a little desk fan mount thing where you can put a Noctua fan in a little frame that will convert it to USB power, so you can have a little desk fan that's a Noctua fan.
It doesn't convert it to USB power. It is a bent piece of metal.
Coming around to that. But being charitable, you use it to plug it into the mains. Great idea. Love the concept of it. I think it's a fantastic idea. And however, like you say, the reality is the frame is a bent piece of metal, and it's like £100 or something like that, wasn't it?
It's £40 for the frame.
Yeah, and that's without the power adapter.
Yeah,
or
just the bent piece of metal.
Yeah.
That holds a fan. Is $40, £40.
And that's without a fan.
And then the Class 6 power adapter they're supplying, they sell for £40.
Yeah.
And obviously you can buy off of AliExpress for like £7.
Yeah.
If you're being bad, and probably £3 if you're actually looking for a deal.
Yeah, and so you look at prices like that, and I'm just like, I've got a lot less patience for you, Noctua, when you're selling products like that. And I've got, when I see you selling stuff like that, that means that when I look at the price of your new NHD 15, like, the charitable read is that you're using expensive manufacturing processes and the build quality is really good and stuff like that. But when I see you selling a bent piece of metal for 40 quid, I'm like, so is your other stuff really worth that price tag?
Yeah.
It might be, but I don't know, man. And considering we've got, people like Thermalright banging out really nice coolers and stuff like that, it's just, this suddenly makes me think that, basically at this point, Noctua have gone from being the really high quality cooler manufacturer to this is basically audiophile nonsense now. It's not terrible, but it's absolutely not worth the price tag you're putting on it. You're now coasting on your brand because you've got a loyal fan base of Noctua fanboys who will be like, who will be like always Noctua for cooling.
Yeah.
And just. I don't know. I'm kind of out of patience for that.
Yeah, and like I'm certainly in that category for Noctua Industrial, for like their the Noctua Industrial PPC fans.
Yeah.
Just because they're certainly the best, easily available in 1s and 2s industrial fans.
Yeah.
But that's a market size of 10 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, I'm going to scan through the chat super quick because I've not been looking because my view has been blocked by the case. Let's see. Could 3D print all of that stuff yourself? Yes. Agreed. And I'm planning on doing that at some point because summer is upon us. But also because I want to print some things because last summer I just had a bunch of case fans that I just zip tied together, and that works pretty well, but you kind of have to balance them somewhere or zip tie them to something else. So I do actually want to print like some little stands to hold up some fans. So that would work quite well.
If you don't care about your electricity bill, I saw in Lidl for £129 a portable air conditioner.
For £129? Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I was like, what?
Yeah, because, well, you say if you don't care about the electricity bill. I mean, did you see how many watts it was?
Well, I've no idea, but obviously
Yeah.
it's only going to be like effectively parity because the hot air is going in an uninsulated tube.
Yeah. You'd probably have to buy that and sort of do some modification. I mean, you'll lose the hot air going into an uninsulated tube. If you direct that out the window, sure, the tube is uninsulated, but you're still going to be blowing a lot of the hot air out of the building.
Yeah,
so
but it's just a case of obviously the efficiency isn't that high.
yeah, but like also you could mod that. You could get an insulated tube for it, or you could wrap it or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, for £129, did you say?
I think that's what.
For 130 quid, I'm like, might buy one of those, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because like based on last year, it got hot, man, and yeah. So, you know, yeah. It'll be a low BTU unit.
Yeah.
They need, That's the only other thing as well, I suppose, is it runs the risk of if you buy something that's too weak, it won't effectively be able to keep up, in which case there's not a lot of point in running it at all.
Yeah.
It's like running a very small heater. If it can't actually heat the room, then you're just wasting electricity at that point. So, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a mini split. If I can, but now we're talking about getting a full system fitted, which is going to cost a couple of grand at least. You know.
Yeah, it's going to be what, £1,200.
Yeah, and I'm not
one unit.
Yeah, and I'm not super opposed to that, but we're now talking about a professional install that I'm spending 4 figures on instead of 130 quid for something that I can just wheel in and just plug into and stick the hose out the window kind of thing. You know.
Yeah, although. Obviously, kind of the one benefit of that is because it is just kind of blowing cold air, even if it's too small to cool the room.
Yeah, if it's blowing cold air at you.
You can just kind of turn it on, stand in front of it and go, I am reducing temperature!
Yeah, even if it's just pointing at me sitting at my desk, it's improving my comfort at my desk, which is the objective, basically. And obviously you're more productive when you're comfortable, so yeah. Imagine if I had sponsors. Yeah.
Imagine if you reply to emails.
I've been replying to some emails.
Good.
Yeah, I need to catch up on them again, but I need to catch up to JLC, and I need to catch up to probably some other people. But yeah. We'll see.
One doesn't count as some. But yeah.
Swamp cooler, absolutely not. I doubt swamp coolers work very well in the UK, to be honest, because it's already so humid. I can't see, like, they're kind of questionable in America, but in the UK, when it's already humid, I don't think a swamp cooler would actually be remotely effective.
How would a fan with a water reservoir work better than an actual heat pump?
What, did someone say that swamp coolers are better than fans? Oh yeah, Reploid, that's a swamp cooler basically, and those are only effective in low humidity environments. Because,
but also a heat pump will be more effective because you can cool the air below ambient.
Yeah, there are certain instances where swamp coolers are not terrible. Yeah. But yes, a heat pump is always going to be superior.
Yeah, can work when it's too dry because there are circumstances
where
you get certain places where you're just like, oh, it's too dry.
Yeah.
Insert desert here.
Arizona.
Like parts of Germany. There's certain parts of Germany that have like average humidity of something like 25%.
Really? Wow.
And it's just like...
Yeah, I mean, Germany goes pretty far south toward the Mediterranean, doesn't it? So, yeah.
Oh, no! The screws. I hope they weren't important.
As a physicist, you need dry air. Yeah. I mean, define dry.
RH less than 50.
Yeah. You 3D print a tube to space and capture space's coldness. I see.
Yes. Also, that's the least of the problems.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not thinking about it, are you? Because, yeah, there's a lot wrong with that statement.
Yeah, the first one is capturing cold.
Yeah, because... Yeah. Because we had a little bit of a laugh, and then you're like, hold on a moment. I'm like, no, don't think about that, you know. Otherwise, yeah, if we actually interrogate this as an option, we kill the joke.
I'm sorry. Also, did you say Germany was close to the Mediterranean?
I said, well, they go fairly far down.
Or do you mean
don't they?
equally as south?
I don't know about equally as south, you know, because obviously they don't bump onto the Mediterranean Sea literally.
Okay, good.
But
only because, if I may, Mediterranean, Germany.
yeah, France gets a lot lower, but even still, you know,
There's two countries in the way.
yeah, true, but still, yeah. If you go down to very South Germany, you are moving into warmer climates, is what I mean.
And going up mountains.
Yes.
With cows with bells and people singing in the hills.
Yes. Right.
There's like a whole mountain range in the way. Get some elephants.
Complications, yeah, complications. Not complications. Trivialities. Details. I don't know. Hand waving. No. I saw another message from Mike Jones and started reading it. I'm like, no, I'm not thinking about this. We're not. No. No, Michael, no. No. Right. Audio front panel.
What education did you get? Yes. I have passed all the necessary tests.
Yeah, sounding about ready to start a Kickstarter for my revolutionary new cooling product.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your new geography lessons. Better bring out the lederhosen and nothing else.
Rubber boots and party pants. Let's see, right. Hard drive LED.
Yes, talking about Computex. Was it MSI? It might have been MSI. Who came to Computex with an AI-powered monitor.
Oh, no. I'm so... Oh, yeah, just I hate how buzzword it is now.
See, the only thing was, the thing I quite liked about it was it was saying about highlighting enemies and things like that in single-player games.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That sounds pretty handy for people with vision impairments.
Yeah. I guess that's the charitable read.
And I'm like, you know what? If that's available in a standard open market product, that's actually a decent product because it's a high refresh rate OLED and so on as well.
Yeah, I feel like you should solve that problem with just more accessible games than hardware.
Yeah, but also at the same time, a game from 20 years ago is not going to get an update.
Sure, yeah. Why am I angry at the way that people want to play single-player games? I mean, I think the problem is that they say, it's for single-player games. It's just like, oh yeah, that's going to work in multiplayer because the monitor can't...
No, it won't. Because MSI have already gone to the cheat detection companies and said, add this flag kind of thing.
Oh.
And it turns it off.
Interesting.
They've already had that conversation.
Fair if true.
They've already had that conversation and been like, they were working with someone else about multiplayer games and making it so it could detect multiplayer games and turn off. So I'm like,
Okay.
that conversation has been had.
Yeah, I appreciate that conversation has indeed been had.
Yeah.
That kind of displays a level of like willingness to care, because I fully expected that to be a sort of it's for use in single players, wink wink nudge nudge, and I'm like, thanks MSI, that was another product that didn't need to exist. But sure, okay, fine. That's still going to cause a lot of problems in various other places, I reckon. But, I guess at least there's some kind of mechanism for controlling it.
Yeah, I was like, that's at least something.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do some cable tidying.
Shove into the back, yeah. Yeah. I got is this actually not going to fit?
I have a theoretical degree in physics.
It Tetrised in. It Tetrised in.
For the use of violence and get in there, you bastard.
Yeah. Just smash cut to Caradog shoving that Liquid Freezer 2 420mm radiator into a case and just going, sweating profusely. I wish I wasn't on camera right now while I shove this radiator into this case.
Whilst I commit crimes.
Crime, sin. Yeah, I had an email from Tomlov, who make digital microscopes. They've offered me to look at their new 4K microscope.
Interesting.
And I've said yes. Here's my address. Please send me one.
Is the inference that it has a higher resolution camera and display?
Yes, the display is not particularly high resolution. It's only a 1280 by 800 8-inch screen, which seems.
Why is it 1280 800?
I know, and also
that doesn't fit into 4K properly.
Considering some of the other products from Tomlov that I've seen, that I did ask them to send me one time. I looked at it, I was like, that doesn't look nearly as nice as some of the other products I've seen from you, but this is what you're offering, so sure, send it to me. Like, that's something that's probably going to come up in the review. I'm probably going to look at some of the other pictures of other Tomlov products and be like, this is, why doesn't it look like this, guys? This looks rad. This is the one that I wanted to look at, and I asked for a sample for a while back, and you guys didn't get back to me, But whatever.
It's a 16 by 10, isn't it? 8 by 5.
Yeah, but on the other hand, of course,
16 by that.
Yeah, but you could have a 4K camera output thing, though.
But I'm just saying, or they could have used a 16 by 9 screen, and it would have tiled properly.
Don't know. We'll see. It depends on how they crop it as well.
Yeah.
Because like if it actually crops on the preview screen to give you a higher vertical resolution effectively, and then it's not cropped on the thing or something like that, you could certainly manage that. But the point is, the hardware seems to be nothing to write home about. Blah blah blah. It's also though it's autofocus, and the reason why I brought this up is that they're very proud, and their marketing says AI autofocus, and I'm like, so it's autofocus. Just anything that involves some kind of mathematical algorithm to calculate these days, they can just be like, that uses an algorithm to calculate AI. That clap was a lot louder than I intended it to be, I'm sorry. Just slap that shit on there, AI, because it's got an algorithm in it. And I'm just like, it's not AI, it's just autofocus like every other camera,
Yeah, still. AI come up with that, vice president from America.
Elaborate.
It runs on algorithms.
Oh, I see, yeah. Algorithms, yeah. The word that no one can spell.
Algorithms.
Yeah. If you tell me you can spell it, then I'm going to call you a liar. You can't spell algorithm. No one can spell algorithm.
It's an AI maths teacher for a pocket calculator. It doesn't teach you anything. That's
Looking
the
for
worst
big
part.
screwdriver.
I'm looking for
Oh,
a man in finance.
Oh, there it is. These holes aren't threaded, so I need to thread them. Again, kind of common for these cases.
An AI kettle. What? What? But... Huh?
It probably, like, you say I'm making tea, and it uses maths to be like, it uses a lookup table to say, well, tea you should be boiling to 80 degrees or something.
Which tea?
Well, white tea or whatever. Just humour me for a moment.
That's the problem, kettle.
You say you're doing green tea, so it says heat to 80 degrees, and it's got like a sensor, so it knows when it's at 80 degrees, and it's just like maths. And it's like, that's just sensors. That doesn't make it artificially intelligent.
It doesn't even make it intelligent.
Yeah.
What kind of green tea?
Yeah, and this is what annoys me. Like, again, let's actually roll with this a bit longer. Okay, let's say it was voice activated. You could just say boil water for green tea, and it would correctly know what temperature to take it to. It's like, okay, so it's got voice detection. It's got voice detection and speech to text, and then it picks out green tea should be 80 degrees kind of thing. Again, that's still not AI. That's just a lookup table with voice recognition.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I'm so hacked off about everything being called AI, because it's just, AI is such a broad term that they just slap it on everything. Yeah.
I will top you. Oh.
An internet connected Arga. Oh God, I hate it. I mean, that much being said,
you can't even turn off an Arga.
I was going to say, it takes so long to change temperatures that you probably need to, because like, you're like, oh, we're coming home from holiday in 3 days. Better tell the Arga to start firing up, you know.
When they lose Wi-Fi, the oven stops working. How? It's an Arga!
Is that actually? Oh no! Terrible, terrible, terrible.
But anyway, talking about kettles briefly, I kind of want one of those ones with a temperature sensor in, so you can say like turn off at 88 degrees.
Yeah, I mean my sister has a kettle that has a base station on it, and the kettle base has got a row of buttons, and it's just got 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Yeah. So you fill the kettle, put it on there, and you push 80.
Yeah.
Because
I've seen them for like 50 quid.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a lot for a kettle, but also that's kind of
neat,
that's, because like,
you know, if you care about the water temperature because you're doing specific teas or something, sure, that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to plug in this stack of fans. We're just going to run this at stock and see what happens. Right, let's put on some side panels. Have you got the...
Why? Why is it magnetic?
Because that's cheaper than putting in the little folds to have it grabbed.
Oh.
To be honest, I don't hate that being magnetic, because those little folds are a pain in the ass to take them
folds.
Off. So
anyway.
Yeah. There's not... Man, this is going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze. Normally cheap cases like this that don't have a lot of room around the back side panel will have a bulge in it to allow for cables. And this one's got a very flat side panel. So that means that your cable tidying, you're actually going to have to make sure that you flatten things. You can't have cables going across the top of other cables on this. Nah, that's what I'm looking for.
JD spending the big bucks on an £8 kettle.
Yeah. I spent 15 on a sandwich toaster and it lasted for about a month before it broke.
Aww.
Which is why I've got a different one in there now, which I spent £24 on instead.
Which one was the bad one? The white one or the silver one?
Yeah, the white one. The silver one that's out there is actually pretty good. It's got bigger plates on it, so you could fit bigger squares.
I was looking at when I was looking at the sandwich maker panini presses, and specifically being like, which ones are actually big enough for 2 pieces of bread side by side?
Yes. Mrs. spent 100 quid on a kettle because it's pretty. Smeg, yeah. Smeg have turned into just one of those. I
don't want Smeg in my kettle.
I still find Smeg as a brand incredibly funny because I don't know what came first, the brand or the red dwarf insult, you know. But then on the other hand, because Red Dwarf is very much a British thing, they probably didn't know about it at the time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious as to where Smeg the brand came from. Oh, I've done this completely wrong. I've run the EPS connector out the front to the graphics card and not plugged any EPS connectors into the motherboard. Oh.
Escapee.
Want one of those toasters that have cheese toaster inserts?
What?
Maybe.
Are they just like silicone bags?
I'm not sure. I think they're either that or just like a wire cage that just holds your toasted sandwich together in a toaster, basically.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think, which also works. SMEG, an acronym of Smoltere Metal. Oh, okay. It's Italian for Emilian Gustala Metallurgic. Yes.
Metallurgical enameling works.
Very well.
Emilia Romagna, made in Italy, Grand Primo del Toro
Venti.
Grand Prix.
Grand Prix GP. GTI.
LMNOP. EcoBoost. Dvorak technology. You do know what SMEG is? Yes.
Well, yeah, it's that brand, and also SMEG is just an insult on Red Dwarf.
And other things.
Yeah. Well, did Red Dwarf coin the term SMEG?
It is a
I thought they did.
slang term for a certain lack of personal hygiene
I see.
of a potentially male body part.
Okay. I was unaware of this.
I see. Also, something, yes.
Yep, I thought it was a made-up word on Red Dwarf, so they could swear at each other. Today I learned.
Do you know why it's an insult on Red Dwarf? Paige slowly going, but do you? Are you sure?
I thought it was... Yeah, well, also, though, in fairness, I actually never watched Red Dwarf. You know, I've seen clips of it and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was never my cup of tea. Very diplomatic character. Yeah, okay. Look, it's not a word that's in my vocabulary. Me wildly backpedaling.
Na, 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 na.
Technically it is. They had no idea about smegma when they did it. I see. Right, I think we should stop talking about this now, especially because I'm very ignorant of this subject. And I'm moments away from saying something that is dreadfully incorrect. Unintentionally, I might add. Do take the EPS closest to the socket if you want to use one EPS connector. It doesn't matter. If it was that sensitive, I would be really worried about the quality of the motherboard. If you're dropping that many volts across that much of the traces on your motherboard, I would be seriously worried about the quality of that motherboard.
So just your normal habit, Graham.
It's true.
I'm funny because I blunder into things.
I wish I could say that it's. I wish I could say that this was an act. All right. Cool. Right. Oh, I didn't put an SSD in this, but yeah, let's just turn it on and see what let's just turn it on and see what these fans are like first. So I'll plug in a HDMI cable just to see if it posts as well. Ooh. Off. And I go. And I'm going to get a keyboard and mouse. Here's the keyboard. Where is the receiver though? Is it on the wall?
Well, you see, luckily it's attached to its large lanyard, so it's hard to lose.
It's astonishing how easily I lose things that are on a lanyard, yeah. Well, it should be over here, because this is where the keyboard is. Usually it stays with the thing.
Is it plugged into the back of a Mac that has now gone out the shop?
That would be impressive. I'm going to get a different keyboard and mouse in a moment, just so we've got something else. Losing interest in 5.
I blame Trab.
4, 3, 2, 1. Can't find it. Looking for another keyboard. I'm going to grab the one out the back of there. Yes. Oh, this one not on a lanyard and is very difficult to get to. Unplug everything. Ruin everything.
Be gone.
There we go. The loop. Boop. Boop. Ignition. Right, the fans are not animated, but the colour on them is actually really nice.
So, is that vindication?
Well, it has posted, so it does work. Oh my god, they're moving nothing. I think these are set up as low-speed fans.
Womp womp.
I might pull off the front panel at the moment and see if the airflow drastically increases, but like, if you stick your hand behind those fans, they are moving nothing. Frozen rainbow puke. Yeah, but it's a good-looking rainbow puke. It's nice. You know, the colour on the LEDs is nice and vivid. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I still think these are trash fans, but you know, they're not so bad that I'm like, no, I'm not selling that kind of thing. I'm just like, okay, well, that looks. They are visually nice. They don't look awful. There are some LED fans where when you see them light up and there's just like a really washed out, uneven glow on them, and you're like, those are just bad, man. I'd rather cut the LEDs than see those. Whereas these are just like, okay, that's actually tolerable. But yeah, are the fan blades curved? They are. I'm going to take the front panel off and just see if the airflow increases.
Rip.
Yeah, pretty much.
And tear until it is done.
I'm just moving forward slightly so my hand hangs off. Oh my god. That's so violent. Shh. That was the one that was already snapped.
You're just reassembling the case.
Right. So yeah, with that's added a modest improvement to the airflow. So yeah, the front grille on this is super restrictive then. All right, well, that nearly put a hole in the soft box then.
I was like, I don't know where you think that's going, but okay.
It was for dramatic effect. All right. So, yeah, you get a lot more light without the grill. That goes without saying. It's still not great. It's better than poking the eye.
Also, it's just obviously just effectively a
Yeah.
guitar, just wall.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
It doesn't need to be loads.
yeah.
It just needs to be some,
Yeah.
and it's not massively loud. And
I think by the time the side panel on that will be tolerable. Like, it is noisy in here.
yeah, but it's not an unpleasant squeak or a...
Yeah, that's right. It's not a wee, you know.
Yeah.
It's I've heard worse fans.
Yeah. It's entirely tolerable noise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not terrible. Pass me up the side panel. Let's just stick the side panel on it. Yeah, because like I think I'm leaning in the direction of, yeah, okay, maybe those don't need modification. You know.
And again, certainly for real price, 35 quid.
I was about to say, and also the fact of like, this is something that this is something that I would be selling as a cheap computer. So at that point, like, yeah, you're not going to get. We're not aiming for super silence on this. Yeah. It's a cheap computer.
I'd also say it's good enough for a not quite cheap computer. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the sense of like cheap computer as in here are refurbished parts, and also cheap computer as in here is all new parts, but the cheapest we could do.
The cheapest new computer we could manage, yeah.
I think it'd be acceptable for both.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear those fans. Yeah, I don't like them. They're noisy and they don't move any air.
Yeah.
I'm gonna 7-volt them and just see what that does. Yeah. I'm gonna 7-volt the fans and see what that does. Like, that's gonna wound the airflow even more, but I want to see if that just cuts the noise. Yeah. Because also, like, even if they're not moving a meaningful amount of air, the fact that air can pass through there just means that it's probably fine.
The fact that there is air movement is
there is some airflow. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that side panel off. It should be okay resting on the thumb screws, but I'm not going to rely on that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's two ways we can deal with making Molex fans quieter. Check if air comes out the rear of the case. Yeah, I'll do that next time I fire it up. That's a good shout. All right. So there's two ways we can deal with a Molex chain like this. What we're going to do is I'm probably going to need to mod all of them. But so the pass-through connector, when we look at the bottom of it, we don't have the bench cam. I can't be asked to get the bench cam just for this bit. But I'm just going to grab a pair of tweezers. That and that, I guess. So there's two ways this can go. On this version we've got, the bottom part of the connector will just open up. I can just pull that up and just kind of wrestle that off. And it's got some plastic tabs, and that exposes all of the pins on the inside of the connector. And now what I can do is I can just take these pins out and rearrange them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the ground pin, so we've got 12 volt, ground, 5 volt. I'm going to take the ground pin and put it onto 5 volts. And what that will give us is it will be 12 volt reference to 5 volt, which ends up at 7 volt. And by this means we can slow the fans down a little bit. And this trick has been around since the dawn of time. It's a little bit rough, but on the flip side, I've run this long term on other computers and never had problems. I'm doing this from the wrong side. God, I always hated repinning Molex connectors, and it's not gotten any less awful. You can buy specialist tools that make this a breeze, but like, who cares?
It's the dawn of time, just like Graham. How dare you, JD?
Rude. All right, whatever. There's one. I can't see these very well, so I'm just stabbing in the dark to get the pins right.
Violence.
I might do. Actually, we've got 3 fans. I'm going to leave one of them at 12. Put one of. Oh yeah, that was an empty pin. I was like, why did it drop out? But that's because it's an empty pin. I'm going to do one of them at 12, one of them at 7, and one of them at 5. So we can actually do a comparison. Did you put ciders in the fridge earlier on?
In the freezer section.
Good enough, yeah. I think it's about high time we busted those out.
For increased crispness. Or something.
Christmas? It's June.
Crispness. Yes. They will hopefully be slightly below ambient.
Good.
That is the plan.
All right.
Dee.
Right, that is now pinned up for 7 volts.
Did you do this? Is that why there's a black mark now?
No, that's a bug. How dare you, sir? I'll not have my reputation sullied in this manner. All right. Oh, actually, I should put the black pin back in there because it's carrying the ground for one of the other ones.
Your fridge is vibrating. Does it contain bees?
Indignation.
Receive cloudy apple cider.
That's the sound of a cold one. Oh, come on, get in there. Horrible things. All right. 1.
Speed.
Right, the top one we'll leave it.
Why is
Which
there a
one have we got
floating
there?
orange bit in this? Oh, it's gone now. That was just a floating orange blob.
Yeah, I was probably just there'll be a little bit of sediment on a cloudy cider, so it was probably just a bit of settlement. Technically, I would say you kind of want to shake them up, but also it's fizzy, so you don't want to shake it up. So, nah. I'm not convinced about the wisdom of a fizzy cloudy cider.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
With the RGB LEDs, the fans complain about 5 and 7 volts. Yes, I'm expecting this to affect the brightness of the LEDs. So, yeah, I think the 5 volt is going to be a wash. I think 5 volt, the LEDs are going to look really bad. So I'm expecting this to not work out that well. But hey,
Only shake your mates.
however, we're doing science, so we're going to find out.
Hold your mate's soldering iron so they finish faster.
Yes, swapping both of them. So I had a complete. I pulled out one pin. I was like, "What am I doing with this again? Where am I? Who am I?"
I find this very stressful.
Oh. Bloody amp connectors. Bloody people in the YouTube comments that still think this is an acceptable connector to use in the year 2024.
Couldn't do this with SATA.
You don't need to do this with SATA.
I mean, you couldn't turn a 12 volt SATA fan into a 7 volt SATA fan.
SATA fans don't exist.
SATA fans don't exist. They can't hurt you.
Oh, no.
SATA fan in background.
Wouldn't it be really, really funny if that actually happened? Like in the future, we actually saw cheap fans with SATA connectors on them instead of 3 or 4 pin connectors. And you're like, you're not telling me that's cheaper than just making a 3-pin fan. Caradog is furiously Googling to see if such a thing exists.
There we go.
Oh no, it does exist. I hate it. My sleep paralysis demon come true. All right.
Although, given the fact that there is literally only one photo, why won't Noctua have a USB powered SATA fan? What? I'm closing that tab and I'm walking away.
I'm walking away from troubles in my life.
But you need the SATA to power the AI on the fans.
Right. That one goes on there. And it goes that way around. There we go. This is why you only take one pin out at a time, so you don't lose track of actually where the pins are supposed to go. Otherwise you do what I just did, where you completely lose track of... Oh, damn, I didn't unpin the... I need to knife these pins.
Nice to meet you. Hey, at least it's a full connector, though. Like, it's actually got all the pins in it.
Yeah, unironically, yeah. Although that doesn't really make a huge difference, but just means that technically you can daisy chain this with a hard drive.
Yes. For your WD Velociraptor 36 gigabyte.
All right. 1, 2. Hopefully I got those the right way around. I think I did. And blank pins. There's the other blank pin. There. Cover. All right, so we've pinned one of these up for 5 volts, we've pinned one of them up for 7 volts, and the other one we've left at 12 volts.
Do you know which one's which?
Yes.
Good.
I'm just like, am I going to keep it a secret? It's going to be really obvious when we turn them on, I think, but I won't say, just in case.
Have you plugged in the power to the fans? I believe the fans require power.
I was just about to do that, I'll have you know.
Okay. I believe the fans require some power in this situation.
Yep, I was leaving them to rest while I just lifted up the side panel, and then I was going to plug them in.
Okay. Somehow end up with a fan spinning backwards.
Or if I've reverse polaritied one of them by accident, it'll probably explode the LEDs. This is before the cider.
The cider is actually a performance-enhancing drug.
Well, the Bulmer curve is real. Bulmer?
Bomber.
What was his name? Steve Bulmer or Steve Barmer?
Bulmer.
Bulmer. Okay.
I'll have you know, it's Woodgate Cloudy Apple Cider.
That can's... What,
You
Si?
scrub, Si.
Si, have you become a cider aficionado now? He tried one of the bottles gingerly that he had on the shelf. He was just like, I'll just take a swig. And now he's just like, actually, I'm now a cider connoisseur. I'm a cider drinker now.
I mean, he has had 5 litres of the stuff in the past week.
Yeah, he's got to get through it all. Dirty cider.
He's got to make it through.
That's really nice. It's quite sweet, which is probably why it's nice at first taste. Yeah, I find a lot of cloudy ciders are often a bit dry, but yeah, And the fact that it's cloudy means that it's got a bit more apple flavour to it because cloudy. So, yeah.
Can I interest you in some limoncello?
Some limoncello? I do not understand this reference.
It's an Italian spirit one generally drinks straight from the freezer.
Bang. All right.
One of the fans doesn't work.
It's on. They're all spinning. So no prizes for guessing which is which.
I'm going to assume the bottom one is the 7-volt one.
Yes. Dirty cider, oh sorry, cloudy cider is usually sweeter because it hasn't been filtered properly. See, that's such a low, this statement is so incredibly biased and loaded that we need to actually analyse this. You say it hasn't been filtered properly.
Do we though? Are we not just giving it attention? We could just ignore it.
That implies that they accidentally didn't filter it or that their filters were just not good enough. It's just like, that's by intention. So I think we've discovered that Paige doesn't like cloudy cider.
Why? What gave you that impression?
My source is a cider brewery in Cornwall, so... No.
Whatever you do, do not do shots of limoncello.
Oh no, I love this stuff. Oh, I see.
Why wouldn't you do shots of limoncello?
What is limoncello? Cello.
It's an Italian liqueur.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Often sold at basically minus 18 Celsius.
Oh. That sounds deadly.
Yeah. Also, if you go to a restaurant in Italy and the person doesn't come up to you and go, "Here, limoncello," after your meal, you pissed them off.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
So,
Filtered it through some old tights. That's what the lumps are. Sauce, I dreamed it once.
Source, my dad works at Nintendo. Alright, so the 5-volt fan... The 5-volt fan is demonstrably pretty damp flannel.
Yes.
You know, that just looks very poorly and broken. The 7-volt fan is, you can see it's not quite as bright as the 12-volt one, but bearing in mind we're under studio lighting here, so the fact that you can see the colours clearly at all is actually quite impressive. If we actually switched off all of the lights and stuff, then yeah, I would actually wager that 7-volt one is bright enough. And like using the scientifically accurate hand behind the fan test, the 7-volt is still pushing a modest amount of air. The side panel is off, so you're not going to feel anything out the back.
Well, I'll have you know, anyway, moving swiftly on.
You're like, I'll have you know I don't have a response to that. So.
No, I did. I just wasn't certain it was something I was going to say on this here podcast.
On this Christian Minecraft stream.
Exactly.
I see. All right, I'm going to stick the side panel on and we'll just see how much airflow we're getting. I would actually wait. I'm kind of tempted to 7-volt all of them and see what that does to the noise levels.
I thought that was the point.
Well, yeah, but then I was just like, actually, let's just do a mixture just so we can just do a comparison for the speeds first. Like, yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like there's static pressure there, but you can feel airflow. And the fact that there is airflow out there means it's pushing heat out the case. So,
yeah.
You know, they are actually doing their intended work there.
Oops. Broke it.
You did.
Yeah, there is indeed airflow.
Doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. It's back. Not convinced that the HDMI is good on this graphics card. Anyway.
I mean, I did just thump it.
Yeah, I suppose. Cool. All right.
Nope, don't say it out loud.
All right. Anyway, all right. I'm going to 7-volt the other fans and see what the overall noise level moves to. And I'll lob in an SSD as well, and we'll just quickly slap Windows on this.
Literally slap it. Just get an SSD of Windows.
Yeah.
Through the power of quantum tunneling, you will be installed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like, I think overall, after this stream, during the week, during the stream when I get round to it, I'm going to move it back into the Aerocool, because this spec is going to be sort of a mid-ranger, and I'm going to put that in the Aerocool just because it's a better case. And I've still got to get rid of that Aerocool anyway. But yeah, considering how bad these fans are at face value, I think we've got something that is workable. I wouldn't buy this case again. As far as I think those fans are still a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. But they work, you know. They are functional.
I'm trying to work out in what world that's English.
There's a certain... I don't know where it is, because I've asked about this before, and I think I got an answer, but I couldn't remember where it was. But there are a couple of states in the US where the US English basically replaces a whole load of S's with Z's. And particularly in words like surprised.
Zized?
I've seen it in a printed book. Where
it replaced the leading Z as well?
No. You pillock. It was... The
replacing the Z sound in surprised.
Yes.
With
a Z, yes. With a Z, because it was American. So yes, I did not finish that book. Did not grab me. And my God, just seeing too many Zs in words that shouldn't have Zs in was also just really distracting as well. I feel like if you were reading fiction, it was a stylized language. That's not a terrible thought. Maybe that was the intention and I just missed it. But also I really hate it when writers do this. I've seen it mostly in fan fiction where writers have done weird grammar, and when proofreading their work, I've been like, this is incorrect. It should be like this. And they're like, that's a stylistic choice. And I've been like, no, it's just wrong. You know, that's not, just... That's not style, that's just wrong, you know?
A stylistic choice is hyphenating email.
Yeah. A stylistic... Oh, okay. A stylistic choice is the Oxford comma.
Yes.
Okay, yep. I thought that was going to get a bigger reaction out of you.
It's a wrong choice.
Because I believe you feel strongly about the Oxford comma.
Not massively. I feel sorry for those who feel strongly for...
I thought you were going to say, I feel sorry for those who use it.
Well, yeah, to a degree. Those who think it's necessary and are so incapable of correctly structuring sentences.
Okay, right. If you can buy Molex to 3-pin adapters for $2, no problem. That's an interesting thought, actually.
How does that fix the problem of them being...
Well, if we... it doesn't fix the case per se, but it is an interesting idea. If we could find if we could find a Molex to 3-pin adapter, then you could plug the fans into the motherboard, which now means you have speed control over the fans. And you'd have to set the minimum speed to 7 volts, because we've proven that the LEDs don't work below 7 volts. But it does mean that you would actually have speed control again.
Oh, right, yes, because obviously the motherboard can actually modulate the voltage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So-
I hadn't considered that. And
Yeah.
I was like, great, but it's a Molex fan. How does adding PWM to it help when it doesn't have a PWM controller? But yes, obviously,
that's it.
you make them DC controlled off of the motherboard.
Correct.
Yes.
Does such a thing exist? Can you get a Molex to 3-pin? Like 3-pin to
I mean,
Molex, obviously.
I'd expect
but,
so.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't even need a triple because you can daisy chain these Molex fans. So
Molex 2
might be an eBay job, but
pin fan.
yeah. So that's the wrong way around. We need that in reverse.
Ha. Oh, I see. Yes. So we
Ow.
want 3-pin fan. Oh, hacking. What? I clicked in the search box and got your address instead.
I see.
To Molex.
Oh, did I? Yeah, that needs adjusting.
Which way round is that?
Right. So
That's
the wrong way round. Yeah. Or is it? Not sure if that's daisy chain or not.
I think.
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
no, it's the wrong way
Yeah.
round. Yeah, yeah. Oh, what's? Oh, I just gonna say I just saw something at the bottom of those search results. Yeah, second one, the Dower Fit ones. What's that?
That takes a Molex and gives you a 3-pin fan.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's a fan header off of a motherboard to a Molex. That would work.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd do it. So yeah, 5.
IDE.
Just share this. Just
An
screen
IED
share this. This is funny. I like this.
An IED.
That's that one. That's that one. And now this one. This is very. Whenever you're looking for obscure adapters, this is the kind of stuff you find. It's an IDE adapter, everyone.
IDE to 3-pin fan cable Molex D plug to 3-pin
D-plug. Who calls it a D-plug?
connector computer PC cooling converter cable. Solve the D type plug fan cannot be connected to the governor.
I see.
This IDE to 3-pin splitter cable is intended for connection of 4 ports, 4-pin PWM device CPU to a PSU connector.
No, that's not. Oh no, you kind of can. Yeah, all right, I'll give him that. Yeah, that's horrid.
The actual fan with 4P interface can be plugged into the motherboard 3P fan socket 2 or connected to the chassis fan with controller. Okay.
Either way, yes, that would allow us to plug these fans into the motherboard and thus have speed control over them.
For only £319.44 per kilo.
Damn, that's a bargain. However, yeah, you get 5 of them for £5, and yeah, considering I bought 4 of these cases, that would technically work. I'm not going to buy those for this one because I think, to be honest, considering I'm not going to buy this case again, I'll just repin these fans. Because if I sat down and got on with this while I was watching YouTube instead of trying to do a podcast at the same time, I'd get this done reasonably quickly. And yeah, just repin them all to 7 volts.
Oh, there we go. SATA connector to 3-pin fan
Sure.
for only £13.
Yeah. Come on, get in there, you bastard. There we go. Right, and blank pin.
USB to fan.
That's kind of nifty. Although that much being said, like that's useful if you want an external fan, and an external fan I don't want to be controlled by the computer anyway.
A TT twin speed inline fan, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 inch.
That looks like it's good enough for another 20 horsepower.
Oh, how did your car function?
Oh yeah, it came back to life again. It was really unhappy because the battery was super flat. But I charged the battery up, and it did charge again. My car was a bit unhappy last weekend, and it just hadn't been run for a long time. And when I started it up, it was a bit like it wouldn't idle without stalling, and the battery was flat. So, I would start it up, it would stall, then I'd have to jump start it a second time. And I didn't want to rev the nuts off of it because it was cold and hadn't been run for ages. So I'd try and let the revs come down, and then it would stall, and then I'd have to jump start it again. And I'm like, I feel like I'm abusing it. But so I charged the battery, started it, and just held it at like 2,000 revs for a bit, just so it could actually just blow the cobwebs through. And then it was fine. Gave it a run up the motorway, and it was A-OK after that. So yes.
Do you still have charge in the battery?
Don't know. I'll find out tomorrow because I'll start it up again tomorrow just to start the engine, and I'll just see what it's doing. I've not done anything with it, so if it's held its charge, then there's a good chance that it's kind of fine. But also, I think did I tell you about the boost gauge sensor?
That it was rusted.
Yeah. My car's draining its battery, and I think it's my boost gauge sensor that does it, because the boost gauge sensor isn't properly weatherproof. And so water gets into it in the engine bay, and it's just basically shorting the 12-volt line. So it's just slowly draining the battery. Alternator may not be outputting enough. I don't think so. Although that much being said, considering it's had several long runs, either the battery is draining pretty quick, or the battery is just not charging properly. But also, the battery's got this natty little window on it, which you look into the window and there's like a float there or something, and green means it's charged, black means it needs recharging, and apparently it can go red or across if the battery is just knackered, and it's just black all the time. And even after I put it on charge for a good few hours, and even after having a long run up and down the motorway, it still hasn't gone green. So it feels like the battery is not charging. But the other thing as well is it did get deep discharged, because you remember we had this conversation where I was just like, can I charge this from a bench power supply? Well, I put it on at 13.8 volts, which was the advisory, and just set it to like an amp, just to give it just a nice slow charge. And for the first 15 minutes or so, it was pulling 0. And I was like, is it connected properly? It's definitely connected, And then it started pulling like 10 milliamps. And then it just, over the course of about 5 or 10 minutes, it very slowly started pulling current, but it actually started at 0 current, which obviously is like the opposite to how a LiPo would behave, where a LiPo would just bang up to full current. So obviously, like the anodes had crusted up, or the electrodes had crusted up, or something like that, and it just slowly just broke off the crust and then started charging. So I think the battery is goosed, basically.
Yeah. And
that's a damaged battery,
And also, if you've got a constant 12-volt drain, it's probably never actually going to read fully charged.
There is a way to control a 2-wire 12-volt fan with tube connected to the CPU. Optional. Yes, correct. My Yaris Hybrid had a small 12-volt computer boot battery that lasted 10 years. Interesting. Yeah. Bad batteries can cause the oddest of symptoms. Yeah, because also with a completely stone-dead battery, that's also resetting the ECU in my car, which is not going to be helpful either.
You have an ECU?
Yes. It's not a very clever ECU, but it is an ECU. It has a fuel map, and it even has a learning algorithm in it. So it's got AI. It automatically learns the engine's profile and tunes the map slightly over time. So yeah. Right, I have repinned these fans, so I'm going to start it up and see if this thing is reasonably quiet. Also, the 3D printer is just finished, so there's less noise in the room now. Yeah, I've seen a video on YouTube that caused a bad battery, caused the entire dash to go full Christmas tree. Yeah, because initially when it wasn't wanting to start, like the check engine light was coming on and stuff like that, and I'm like, you know, the check engine light will come on if you stall the car, because as far as the car is concerned, that's a fault condition, the engine stalled, you know? So it was really difficult to tell whether there was actually a problem or whether it was just grumpy. And the answer is it was just grumpy. But yeah. AI shill unfollowed. So it knows you drive like a granny. You've clearly not been in my car before, Si.
It's okay, your car feels fast at 25.
What, 25 miles an hour?
Yes.
Yeah.
The strange noises coming from the shocks.
Okay, right. Let's fire this thing back up.
Oh. Replace the car lead acid with a chain of laptop lithium batteries. Here are the salvaged lithium batteries from all of the laptops in my shop.
I mean, I use a lithium battery jump starter, and oh, I forgot to put in that SSD. I'm going to do that because we're actually going to do stuff. Yeah, I use a lithium jump starter, and it's brilliant. And like, yeah, the part of me is just like, yeah, jump start. Yeah, yes, start your car from a lithium battery. That's a fantastic idea, unironically. Yeah. But also just, you know that it's not going to have the same kind of lifespan that lead acid can have, because lead acid just is zero maintenance to an extent. Yeah. So that's why we don't use LiPo as a car battery. Because the funny thing is, you could probably get pretty close to, because a car battery is what, 100 amp hours?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Probably 150?
Oh, more.
200?
Yeah, okay. If it's a big battery, then yeah. I can't remember what mine is. Okay, well, let's pretend it's 150 amp hours then. You know.
Yeah.
Like, how big of a LiPo would you need to meet that capacity? You know, it'd be a pretty monster, but it'd be pretty.
Well, you wouldn't need that capacity.
Well, no, I guess you wouldn't. Yeah.
Because the current supply characteristics are different.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with actually a much lower capacity. You could get away with much fewer amp hours because the current supply is much higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in theory, you could get away with much less.
Yeah. As a rule, basic car is around 60 amp hours. Yeah. So 100 is reasonable then.
Yeah.
I could see there being bigger batteries available.
The only ones I've ever had to replace were on like 2-litre diesels. And they were like 150, 200 amp hour.
Yeah, that's a diesel though, yeah. Dave Bell says, LiFePo would probably be absolutely fine.
Lithium ion polymer, which is 3.3 volt nominal.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Because, because life is pretty bomb-proof as well, isn't it? That's a surprisingly durable...
It's okay.
Yeah.
It is more durable, yes.
Mm.
But yeah, you'd be able to get away with, I think, significantly lower capacity, just because obviously the quote-unquote cold crank amps of a LiPo is much higher than lithium. Than lead acid.
Yeah.
Because like obviously you look at the I can't remember what the actual technology is, but they get sold as carbon batteries.
Yeah.
Which are just 3.7 volt lithium batteries, but they're sold as carbon batteries for drones and stuff.
Okay.
And they will do like burst of 900C.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So it's just kind of, obviously if we're in that position with those lithium batteries, you could get away with a much lower capacity just because the burst C discharge can be so much higher.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, because theoretically with a car battery, you don't need the capacity it has. The only reason why it has that capacity is just to give it the cold cranking amps.
Yeah, exactly.
The capacity is a bonus, but obviously because the car is self-recharging per se, you can actually as in the car.
The car charges the battery. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Although of course it does depend on reliability. I know quite a long time back when I was in the Legacy Owners Club and I was going to their meets, we went to a dyno meetup and there was one guy there that had a second Series 2 Legacy that was running like 500 brake horsepower at 1,000 kilograms or something bonkers like that. Stripped out race car Legacy. It was nuts, this thing.
Oh, I see, 1,000 kilogram vehicle weight. Sorry, yeah.
And in order to do more weight saving, he put a tiny little race battery in to reduce weight. But the problem there was where like the car was obviously, because race car, it wasn't super reliable, and he was like, oh yeah, it is a lot lighter, but it's crap. But because the car gets started often and doesn't get long runs, the battery's always flat, kind of thing. So it was a bit, Yeah. Yeah, it depends on the length of trips and stuff. Yes, exactly.
And obviously, kind of your effectively quiescent current. Yeah.
Yeah, lead acid would be a safe chemistry compared to lithium. Yeah, that's true as well. From a safety perspective, lead acid can't really do anything super spectacular, can it? Especially not a modern sealed lead acid. Or at least, because modern lead acids at least have rollover protection and stuff like that. So, the battery doesn't just dump its guts everywhere if the car gets flipped.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, I put an SSD in this, put the graphics card back in, and slap Windows in it.
Yeah,
and
but it's also the case of obviously you'd use something, you wouldn't just use a pouch LiPo, you'd use something like a
18650 banks and stuff.
Well,
yeah.
You'd use something like the Catlin blade or something like that, which is 100% charge punch, non-fire starting puncture resistant,
Oh, I
et cetera,
see.
et cetera,
Yes.
et cetera, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So they basically guarantee that even at 100% state of charge, you can just stab it and cause 100% internal short, and it won't do anything.
That's very cool. What was that called again?
It's Caitlin. I can't remember what I can't remember who the battery company is. So I keep forgetting the name. Yeah, that is it. CATL batteries. They make basically all of the batteries. Yeah, of specifically electric vehicle market share, they have 37%.
Wow, yeah. That's kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious as to know what the technology is behind that safety. Like, does it just have like fancy protection circuits on it that detect fault conditions, or like is it right in the manufacturing of the batteries and stuff like that?
It's also stuff like using lithium iron phosphate, so different technologies. And, but yeah, there's a reasonable amount of information about their stuff without having to kind of say, I want to buy one of your things.
I fucked up.
Did you forget to plug in something?
Right, 2 of the fans aren't working, so... Fancy website. Alright, what have I done to this? In before I just pinned them onto just ground and ground or something like that. Have I? Yeah, I've reverse polarity'd them. Oh my god.
Oh, that's cool.
I have to do these again. I'm sorry. Right, let's get on with it.
Neat. Would you like a brochure?
I mean, I'm okay, but, when I say I'd be interested in the technology, that's like I'd be interested in listening to a YouTuber explain the technology rather than have to actually read the white paper myself.
Yeah. CATL was founded in 1999. I'm not sure when they opened it. It might have been this year. It might have been end of last year. But they opened a new battery manufacturing plant that's expected to produce, was it 3.7 megawatt hours of battery capacity a day or something like that was their plan for it. And I'm like, that's a lot.
It's a lot of batteries.
That's a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus, what? Oh, although my issue with lead acids is, you know, the burning from the acid. Just because I've seen far too many of them leak.
Hmm. Yeah, although arguably a chemical spill is, well, I don't know actually. Yeah, I was going to say a chemical spill might be a bit less dangerous in the moment than a lipo fire, but on the flip side, obviously that has a high ecological risk.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, did I just not? No, I didn't. Oh my god.
Do you want to...
I'm getting very bored of repinning these fans.
Do you want to do it right? Like...
I'll do you right in a minute.
You say that, yet there has been no evidence to support this attestation.
In before I've just exploded these fans as well by reverse polaritying them.
Ah, you can just return them then. Huh? Case fans don't work. Fuck's this noise?
And someone broke one of the pins on the front case, on the front panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point, you will actually get that in there. Did I? Oh, we were saying about talking about stuff from Computex that interest us, and it's just popped into my head again. I can't remember if I said earlier about MSI.
Tech. Yeah.
About MSI releasing cheaper OLED monitors at lower refresh rates.
Oh yes.
I can't remember if I said that.
You mentioned
or
this.
Or if I only mentioned the AI monitor.
Yeah, you just mentioned the AI factor. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. There's also separate range. It's a lower refresh rate range that in theory should be cheaper.
Yeah, what's the lower refresh rate? We talking like 120 or what?
I think it's 170 or something really annoyingly weird.
Oh, that's a bit odd, but...
Or like 175.
Yeah. However, still, like, that's still, for cheap gaming monitors, 165 is the standard. So, like, if you're exceeding that and your OLED, you're still going to change people's worlds from what the current state of cheap gaming monitors is. So, yeah, I support that.
Yeah.
Especially if they're doing a 1440p one at a decent price. I mean, I guess 1080p is...
awful. It'd be awful.
Yeah.
It'd be horrid. No. 1080p just does not work on OLED monitors.
No?
No. Just because of the pixel structure, because it's not standard RGB.
Do you get screen dooring and stuff then?
It's the subpixel rendering on text and stuff. You get fringing and things like that.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Stripe on the left. No.
Have you done them all wrong? Are you... Is this a clown fiesta?
I am not merely a clown. I am the entire circus.
1080p is completely fine for 27-inch plus monitors.
No,
no, it's not.
You're trolling. Do you mean less than 27-inch monitors?
1080p is fine up to and including 22-inch monitors.
1080p at 24-inch is passable. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's passable. So a 1080p 24-inch OLED at sub £200 would be pretty cool, I think.
I didn't hear what resolution you said there.
1080p,
Yes.
24-inch, high refresh rate,
Yes.
sub £200.
Yes.
I think that's a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I hope it still exists, but there was a Gigabyte monitor that I got recently for someone that was really, really good, and it was like £106 or something.
Oh. I'm assuming it was a IPS.
Yes. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, I was really impressed. I was just like, okay, that works. Oh, it's no longer down at that price.
Yeah. Well, what's the list on it then?
Oh, I think it was the Gigabyte G24F Space 2. I got it for £105 or £106.
Yeah.
The list price now is £172.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, that's quite a hike. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the spec on it then?
It is 170 hertz, which is again weird refresh rate, but fine. 1080p IPS.
Okay. Yes, that's fine. Yeah, that's kind of That's kind of where I expect the market to be right now. However, when it was on sale at 106, yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah. But if you're looking for something like that, the ViewSonic Omni goes on sale every now and then for somewhere between 110 and 120.
Oh yeah.
At the moment, it's 115 from Laptops Direct, but it's 180 hertz, 1080p, 24-inch.
That's a great
IPS.
low-end gaming monitor. Yeah. I say low-end, but I would say that's probably as far as 1080p goes, that's a good experience. And I expect to pay £120 just for a not awful monitor.
Yeah.
So a monitor that's not awful and 180 hertz, I think that's great.
Yeah. The only minor sort of possible for detractor from that ViewSonic is its brightness is reasonably low at 250.
Yeah.
But 250 is high enough because
that probably doesn't have black frame insertion then.
Oh no,
yeah,
nothing does.
And that means it's going to be a smeary mess at high refresh.
Yeah.
Because
certainly the Gigabyte was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unless they've improved it drastically, because like my Asus monitors.
Don't forget they were VA panels though.
No, but the ones I've got at the moment are IPS, and they are what makes them work is black frame insertion.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry, not black frame insertion, but backlight strobing.
Yeah.
And that for those of you who are not familiar, on high refresh LCD monitors, what you do is you switch off the backlight between frames, so the screen goes black while the pixels change, and so that way you get much sharper images because you don't see the smear frames, you just see it when the frame has changed. However, it massacres the brightness level, and even though my monitors have a brightness level of like 600 nits or something like that, they're probably the equivalent of 200 nits with backlight strobing on, and like I can't see them properly in direct sunlight, which means they're effectively reduced to effectively 200. However, the backlight strobing is worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. But yeah, no backlight strobing on a high refresh IPS. Man, I hope they've got really good panels in there. Is all I'd say about that. But also, like, if you were buying one of these for sub £150, then I think that's still jolly reasonable, considering I paid like £350 a piece for my monitors.
Yeah, exactly.
The prices have come down a lot.
Yeah.
And as I say, if one of these ended up being if one of those OLEDs ended up coming in at like sub £200, 1080p, 170 hertz or whatever, that'd be an outstanding mid-range gaming monitor for someone, Because also, like, at 1080p, you can easily drive that off modest graphics cards as well. Like, I can be a snob and be like, no, I don't want anything less than 1440p, but you're going to need a bigger graphics card to drive 1440p high refresh, which obviously alters the budget of literally everything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
but like, yeah, certainly for
they're okay. That's good that they survived being reverse polaritied.
Yeah. Yes. Going back to JD's question about upgrading from 1080p to 1440p or going straight to 4K.
Yeah.
Depends entirely on what your budget is, to me, and what PC you're running.
Yeah, yeah.
Because 1440p is entirely fine, entirely acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that resolution. And there are good monitors. There are 1440p monitors that are higher refresh rate. Absolutely fine. But also a case of, obviously, if you're buying, if you're looking to buy a monitor to pair with something that's going to have a 4080 Super 7900 XTX or better,
you should be aiming for 1440p at that.
I would say you should be buying 4K.
Yeah.
Well, if you're paying £1,000 for your graphics card.
Yeah, I'm just realistic about whether you can just drive stuff because, like when I'm playing AAA games on my 4080, I will, AAA games at cranked graphics on my 4080, I'm fighting to get it past 100 frames a second at 1440p.
I'm intrigued that you have that difficulty, given that obviously I'm running a 7900 XTX at 4K, and I just go ultra 120 FPS plus.
Yeah, maybe. Although maybe the only examples I'm giving are like what AAA games have I actually played recently? That's stuff like. That was stuff like Star Wars Jedi, which obviously was not a fight anyone could possibly win.
Yeah.
And also,
it was impressive that eventually, after 7 months of patching, it's now hit 60 FPS.
Wow. Yeah, and Ratchet and Clank. I think I was playing Ratchet and Clank at high refresh. I think I had that 120 while I was playing cranked.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
I can't remember what refresh I managed to get that up to in the end.
But yeah, it's certainly a case for me that my preference is to play at higher FPS than higher graphical fidelity.
Yeah, I'll look for a balance.
Anything...
I'll quite happily drop from ultra to high in order to get up to high refresh rate, because obviously the distance from high to ultra is very marginal.
Yeah, anything, basically I always just go ultra textures, low everything else. What performance does that give me? Oh, am I at 240 FPS? Fine, I'll put everything else up.
Oh,
but it's kind of
PC can't run Windows 11. It's probably got FTPM turned off. Reset.
What is this computer?
It's a 5700X X570 motherboard, Ryzen 5700X.
Ha! Interesting.
Yeah, but FTPM is probably off by default. It might have an old BIOS on it or something like that.
Which board is it?
It's a X570F, Strix X570F.
Oh yeah, okay.
BIOS build date is 2021, so yeah, I think it's an old BIOS. Are we going to update that?
I mean, might as well.
Yeah, sure. We're doing the podcast. We've got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
BIOS me.
Bosh me. Oop. Oh.
I've just sat down and now I've got to get back up again.
As the drive collapses.
Yeah.
Eject, not format.
You fool.
Why is format and eject next to each other?
Ugh. Let's have some capture so people can watch us update a BIOS.
Pow.
Everyone loves watching that. Is it going to work? Let's find out. Yes. All right. Easy Flash 3 utility. I shall have that. Bam. Yes. It's thinking. Right. 2024 BIOS. I much prefer BIOS updaters that actually show you what you currently have as well as what the file is going to update you to, just so you can do an A-B comparison and be like, yes, this is what I desire. It says up the top now, but wow, 3604 to 5013. Why have I never updated the BIOS in this? I guess I just didn't need to. Those LEDs are very sad. Nah, I mean they're static, but they're bright enough. Once this is in a bedroom, it'll look a lot brighter. So I'm happy with that. And like, I think the brightness is. I think the noise is much more tolerable now. Taking them off of 12 volts has just taken a lot of the volume out. Yeah, there's an annoying whir coming from it, but that's actually the CPU cooler. And that CPU cooler will be coming out. Although, you know what? I might do some thermal tests on it once we've got Windows on there. This is a Wraith Spire, which is the baby cooler. And I really shouldn't sell it with that cooler on it. But we'll give it some stress tests just for a laugh and just see if it can actually hack it or not. I think that cooler would struggle with a 5600X, so I think it's going to completely fall over with a 5700X. But yeah, it's good enough just for us to do testing with at any rate. I too excel more under low light conditions as opposed to studio lights. Indeed. What's the price? I don't know yet because this graphics card isn't the one it'll be sold with. This graphics card is it's a Radeon 5600 XT. Yes, 5600 XT, which I'm saving to go into just a lower tier computer. I'm going to look for like a 6650 or something like that for this computer.
Yeah, see if you can actually get a deal off of eBay for once.
Yeah.
Instead of buying stuff thinking it's a deal and it being 10% over market price.
Yes, yes. Yep. Get a deal on a nice graphics card, stick it in there and just put a price tag on it and have the option of upgrading to a 3080 Ti if you want, because I have one of those in the other computer. Ba-da-ba. Bloody X570 motherboards, the BIOSes on them take so long to update because it's like a 64 megabyte BIOS chip or something absurd. Maybe 32. Either way, they take forever to flash. Yeah, speaking of new coolers that are coming out, we're about to see, we've already seen a couple, it's been brewing for a while, but we're about to see the enormous wave of coolers with screens on them.
Endorphy Spartan 5.
I see.
Okay.
John Spartan. Assassin Spirit. Did last week's 600 customer go for a PC? No, sadly not. I did spec up the computer for them. However, I think I'd misunderstood slightly is that I had their existing computer in for repair and they were also interested in it, but it turned out that they were like, okay, I am interested in a new computer, but I've got to sell my current one first. So that's on the back burner. But it was informative because it did give me a good idea of what kind of thing I'm going to offer them when they're actually ready to buy. So yes. You just put a Wraith on a 3600 that a customer had a water cooler on and was hitting 78 degrees idle. Terrible.
Terrible.
The Wraith is fine for a 3600. Yes, I'd agree with that. $5600 XT is still good. Yeah, the 5600 XT is fine. But I'd still be selling it on a sort of low mid-range PC.
What, 5600 XT as in the graphics card?
Yeah.
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 I would say that is a low-end computer.
Yeah, exactly. Like this has got a 5700X CPU in it and a nice motherboard. So I think that makes it worth putting in a much nicer graphics card than that. I'd say this is definitely CPU heavy in balance at the moment. Like if we had a 5600X in there or even like a 5500 or something like that, I would say the graphics card fits, but then the motherboard would still be overkill for that as well.
Yeah, 3060, 3000, 3600,
Yeah.
3700.
Yeah.
That sort of thing as well. But then for that, you'd be wanting a really cheap B550 board.
That's it.
Kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Like this is the last of my X570 motherboards, and it's the X570 Strix, which is, in my opinion,
It's a good board.
I think it's the nicest mid-range X570 board there is in the mid-range. It's a really nice board, and I think it's worth putting something nice in it.
Yeah, I think the ID cooling, like air coolers, are absolutely fine when you pick them up for like 15 or 16 quid.
Yeah.
But anything above that, no, they're pretty pants. Because I
Can
got
you bring one of them up? Because I saw them on the list just then. I was like, ID cooling, I don't recognise that.
Here, like one of these.
Yeah. They look all right.
Yeah, they're just a bit bad. Like,
Yeah.
they're not actually very good at cooling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
Cold
sure,
plate
if you're
is a bit
buying it
crap
for
or
like
something.
15 quid, 16 quid, fine.
Yeah.
But it's not a £20 cooler when for £20 you can get a Thermalright Assassin Spirit V2.
Yeah. That's kind of thing.
Sorry, for £15.
That's just it. In a vacuum, I think 20 quid for that id cooler is fine. I think that's reasonable because there's a price floor as well. However, Thermalright are the Arctic of air cooling, where it's a matter of like everyone else's price is okay in a vacuum, but because Thermalright have just suddenly existed with impossible pricing, it now begs the question, why would you buy anything else? Like for liquid coolers, why would you buy anything other than a Liquid Freezer 3 unless there's a very specific design you want? And with air coolers, why would you buy anything other than a Thermalright unless there's a very specific design you want, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. The water coolers are pants. Yeah, the idea is a water cooler. I'm not convinced by that either. Yeah, the HDMI on this graphics card is dicky. It's done this with me before. That makes me very sad that this one is messing me about on the HDMI again. It seems to just do this selectively. There we go, right. We detected a new FTPM firmware. Yes, reset the FTPM.
Oh my god, why would you spend £30 on the Cooler Master Hyper 212?
It's just held its value for no reason. It was the darling air cooler that was just the weapon of choice for so long.
Yeah.
But now there's a bunch of other stuff that is the same price or cheaper. Like, I love the Hyper 212. It's been a stunt. It's been a cracking cooler, but it's just stayed expensive. and now there's cheaper options. It's like, yeah, you can't justify that price anymore, Cooler Master. That won't fly. Right, F1 for setup.
Oh, it's the Peerless Assassin. It's the one that's the.
That's the crazy cheap one. Yeah, yeah. Peerless Assassin is just. It's 35 quid and it does 180 watts of cooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is just the Noctua killer. That cooler, as far as I'm concerned, at 35 quid. If you really don't want an AIO, why would you buy anything else? You know.
Thermalright Silver Soul.
That looks kind of neat.
Cool.
Yeah.
£35 as well.
Yeah, that's nice for a white build. Although I think there's a white version of the Peerless Assassin.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yep. Right, we've done a BIOS update on this motherboard, and I'm just going straight back into the Windows setup. It's probably going to say it's compatible now because one of the this BIOS update would have been the Windows 11 update as well. And the difference of making the BIOS Windows 11 compatible is FTPM is on by default instead of off by default. So it's probably now going to let me install Windows 11. That's a very 70s looking cooler.
It's a choice.
Yeah. However, if you like Noctua, you can't complain about that.
I mean, you kind of can, because that's a horrid colour combination.
So's Noctua.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. Look me in the eyes and tell me that is a worse colour combination than that.
Okay, you know what? I'd agree that is more attractive than that.
There we go.
But
see, that's my point.
However, they all still are just brown. Aha, it is installing.
I see. Yeah, I think basically, based off of current pricing, you're looking at, you just buy Assassin's Spirit V2s and whichever dual tower happens to be cheapest that day, either the Peerless Assassin or the Silver Soul.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Girilli says, bring back UV reactive parts. I support this. We need to have like
as long as it's
UV lighting again. As long as it's only in green.
Only green UV reactive.
Blue looks good. No, I support UV reactive stuff again.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Lead Farmer is just like, oh, you didn't select Pro. If you install, remember folks, if you install Windows Home Edition, you can upgrade it to Pro just by typing in a Pro product key. But you can't downgrade Pro to Home. So if you're not sure what license you're going to put on it, always install Home. Because if you buy a Pro key, you just put in the Pro key and it upgrades. But if you install Pro and you end up with a Home key, you can't downgrade that. You've got to reinstall Windows. Now, yeah, I'm going to buy a Pro key because those are the cheap ones. So it is going to get upgraded to Pro, so I could have just installed Pro. But it actually doesn't make a difference. If in doubt, just install Home.
Yeah.
So yeah, by default, I always say just put Home on it, and then you can do whatever you like with it in the future. If you install Pro, you're now locked into Pro.
UVA LEDs in fans.
What? What you should be... UVA is for pansies. UVC, now that'll give you some chest hair.
I'll give you chest hair.
You've downgraded to Home from Pro. Not easy, precisely. Yeah. Remember Windows 7 Starter Edition? Yeah, that one was weird, man.
Windows 7 Starter Edition, that doesn't... I swear there was an edition of Windows 7 Starter that was sold on netbooks that didn't support right-click. Or something like that, like the right-click menu was an additional fee.
Weird.
Or something like that. There was a certain special netbook edition of Starter. Also, I know Starter only supported like 2 CPU cores and 2 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, because it was specifically designed for netbooks.
Yeah.
It was because at the time we had the first gen Atom netbooks that would just about run XP, but 7 was too much for them.
Yeah, but it was weird that Starter Edition you could only run 2 gigs of RAM on it. So you couldn't upgrade to 4.
Yeah, I suppose it is kind of odd that why would you want the restriction there? Because, odd. Yeah. These days, of course, we have Windows S mode, which is, I think, hot take, I think S mode isn't a terrible idea. However, S mode can sometimes put you in some really weird positions. Case in point, I've got an Asus laptop over here that has been badly factory reset. So it's been factory reset and it's on out-of-box experience. So you start it up and it launches out-of-box experience. However, half the drivers aren't installed, so it doesn't have a Wi-Fi driver. So therefore, when it says sort of connect to your wireless network so you can log into your Microsoft account, it doesn't see networks because it doesn't have a Wi-Fi driver. And obviously, so you're like, okay, I'll make a local user account. So you go Shift F10 to bring up a command prompt so you can do bypass NRO, except it's in S mode, so it can't run the command prompt because that's an EXE.
Yeah.
So you can't bring up the command prompt. So the laptop is completely soft locked.
Interesting.
Because it's in S mode. So S mode can sometimes land you in some really odd positions. So, and the solution, and like, actually, now I think about it, I think in order to solve that, I'm going to need to make a Rufus USB drive that will allow me to make a local user account off the bat without doing Shift F10.
Why can't you just install off of a flash drive?
Because when I try to install from a flash drive, it will just install in S mode again.
Why?
Because that's what the license in the BIOS is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It will auto-detect S mode. Like, I might be wrong. I'm not sure if I can manually force it out of S mode on a reinstall.
I thought you just selected from the drop-down. I thought you just selected the version when you were installing off of separate boot media.
I think it will still install in S mode.
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
I thought you selected.
Chat might correct me on here, but however, a Rufus drive will solve this problem anyway. But,
oh yeah, but just interesting. I thought, yeah.
Yeah. It can be skipped using Control Shift F3. What's that called again? It's not admin mode. It is audit mode.
Audit mode.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do audit mode in S mode. I'm going to put that to the test, actually.
That'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I'm going to test that right now. I'm just going to quickly bypass NRO on this. I have not updated my flash. I don't know if bypass NRO still works on the latest version of Windows. I've heard reports that it doesn't, but also I think people are doing it wrong.
I've no idea. But also just a case of create with Rufus so you don't care.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Certainly if you're going to be installing Windows more than once ever.
Yeah. Right. Audit mode. It doesn't work now. Is that confirmed, Si? Like you've done it properly? Because a lot of people I see trying to do bypass NRO are doing it while they've got an Ethernet cable plugged in. I'm like, no, you have to be offline from the start, otherwise it doesn't work. But yeah, this flash drive is pretty out of date. It's 22H2, so. Whoop. United Kingdom. Ugh.
Why is your smeg on the monitor?
Is that actually a scratch? Hold on. Oh yeah, no, that will clean. I thought there was like a chunk taken out of the monitor then. I'm like, that's going to make me sad. All right. Skip. I don't have internet. Continue with limited setup. User. No password. Right. No, I'm just going to bash this through things. No, 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 no. There we go. Right, so piece of crap garbage Asus laptop. Well, visually very nice, but it's a Celeron.
What does it say on the... What does it say it is?
It's an E410, I think it was.
E410MA, okay.
Yeah, E410MA. Intel Celeron processor. So it says, let's connect you to a network, and there are no drivers. So yeah, can we Control-Shift F3 then? So that would be Control-Shift FN F3, I think. Just a moment. Yeah, I think it is going into audit mode. So can we make a local user account from audit mode? I guess you would do control user passwords too, wouldn't you? But that won't cancel you out of OOBE, will it?
But
failing that,
it would allow you to install.
I was going to say, can you?
It?
Yeah, I can install the driver, and but then on the other hand, then I'd have to log in with a Microsoft account, and I don't want to do that either. Can I get out of S mode from audit mode?
Why wouldn't you in
Net user? Oh yeah, yeah.
Why wouldn't you sign in with their Microsoft account? Because they would have had one.
This has just fallen to a new owner.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
They probably do have a Microsoft account, but I'm just trying to see if I can avoid doing that, because then I'd have to ask them for their Microsoft account.
Oh, I see.
Which
Sorry, I thought you were
anyway.
attempting to fix it for someone who had accidentally reset it.
Yeah.
And the same person was going to use it.
Yeah, no, they have obtained it from someone else who didn't want it, probably because it was a garbage laptop.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, there is no Wi-Fi on the board.
No, you need the X570E for the Wi-Fi edition.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can go into the store and bust this out of S mode, because that would be preferable. All right, that needs Windows Update now. Armory crate, no. Check for updates. There we go. Okay. All right, can I the Microsoft Store from audit mode? I mean, I don't see why not, because audit mode basically just logs you into the, oh God, we've got no Wi-Fi.
What's the adapter again? Because don't you want the actual?
I don't know if I'll even be able to install it properly, because we're in S mode. A lot of installers don't work in S mode. So yeah, I guess if you get the bare driver, that would work, but this is when S mode gets really funky when you're setting up a computer, because it will try to run a setup utility which can't run because you're in S mode. I'm just grabbing another Wi-Fi adapter. I thought I had one over here. I'm sure I saw it.
Oh, you're done with this 10 flash drive, aren't you? I'll just chuck it on here.
Yeah.
I'll see if you can just run the installer.
Sure. Since we're doing science, yeah. Where the hell? I had a bunch of cheap Wi-Fi adapters, so I bought extra ones, and now I can't find any of them. That's really annoying. Oh, it's probably fallen down the back of the cupboard or something. Losing interest in 3, 2, found it.
I have extracted the driver.
It's a race. Oh, okay, you won. I was still taking it out of the packet.
So yeah, I've run the installer is on there, and also the extracted.
Yeah. Okay, right. So if I try and run, I'll just copy them both to the thing first. Right. What am I looking? Oh yeah, wireless LAN. And what's the extracted one?
And then 2 something at the top.
I'll just copy both those to the desktop. All right. Right, wireless LAN, cannot run because you're in S mode. Yeah, so still want to run this unverified app. That will then guide me to the Windows Store to get out of S mode. And then in here we have bare drivers. So yeah, let's see if I can...
And that's just a batch file.
Oh, yeah. Can I install... I don't think I can run a batch file from S mode. Windows Command Processor cannot run because you're in S mode.
Interesting.
Yep, so yeah, Device Manager in that case. Network adapters. Oh.
It wouldn't show network adapters, would it?
Yeah, but there's no unknown adapters either. It's just not visible at all. Interesting. This probably needs a chipset driver or something.
What is...
McAfee switch. Oh no. McAfee integration. What the hell? Hold on.
What?
What the hell is this? Share this with the people. Oh.
Did you just kick it?
Yeah, I did.
And again.
Yeah. Oh, it's upset now because the... There we go. Right, have we got... Yeah. So I've just gone to Device Manager to find... so firstly, in Device Manager, there are no unknown devices listed here. And under Network Adapters, we've just got WAN mini port nonsense. So the actual Wi-Fi adapter is not being seen by the computer. It's probably behind... it's probably behind a missing chipset driver or something like that would be my guess. Because, yeah. However, then I just saw McAfee switch. The only reason for this existing that I can imagine is that there is a hardware thing that allows McAfee to be installed in S mode, maybe? Like, I want to know what this is.
Does it give you a hardware ID?
Right, hardware ID is... Root MFE SWHID. Does anyone know what this is?
I mean, it's identifying as some sort of...
Autopilot NS Marker App Store. Does that mean that Windows will automatically download McAfee as a driver for that hardware or something like that? It ties McAfee as a function of the laptop. Interesting. That's horrid, man. That's the installer for it, yeah. That's kind of gross.
Weird.
All right. Okay, I'm going to get this online with a different Wi-Fi adapter. All right, there we go. I've just plugged in a cheap USB Wi-Fi adapter, so now we've got a screaming USB 2 802.11n. So now I can probably Windows Update to get the missing drivers.
I presume Windows Update's allowed to work in S mode.
Yes, it is. And Windows Update can install a driver as long as the driver is not on Windows Update as a exe package per se. I've seen stuff on Windows Update fail.
So dumb. Windows Update not being able to install drivers.
Yeah, I've seen it. Windows Update, it will work most of the time, but also Windows Update is unaware of S mode. So I've seen it fail to install updates because it doesn't understand that you're in S mode and you can't install that thing. I can't remember what it was that was causing that. It might have been like when I was trying to install a printer or something like that, which is, but yeah. Secure boot off one time, S mode clear. Yeah, that's fair, yeah. I may well do that, you know. However, I'm exploring what the behavior is like first, because there are certain times where, like, this Asus might have a really basic BIOS. We may not be able to turn off secure boot on this. You know, like, you do this for a living. You've seen how basic some BIOSes are. There is a very good chance that this laptop has a completely bare BIOS with no options in it. So yeah, all right, check for updates.
Yeah.
See what drivers it finds. See, I mean, this isn't even an S mode problem right now, just simply because, you know, like, yeah, this isn't even an S mode problem right now. This is the Wi-Fi adapter is not visible because another driver is missing. So, yeah, disable the McAfee thing. Yeah, I'll probably have a look for that as well, but.
They are sub HP stream level laptops.
Damn, that's pretty damning. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Yeah, it's installing a crap ton of drivers. Not seeing anything to do with McAfee there. Yeah.
It's disguised as Asus Tech computer system driver.
Yeah. It's very interesting that its own software factory reset put it into this situation, because like demonstrably, because it's got like the Asus background and everything, it's obviously had just the Asus software restore. So it's not just a botched install of Windows, it was the official method. So yeah, kind of odd. Enjoy the eMMC, yeah. Let's have a look at how awful it actually is. At least it's 64 gigs. You know, it's got that going for it. Made by Kingston, thank you very much. How heartbreaking is the CPU in this thing?
It's an N400, I think.
N4020, actually.
Okay. It's still a 1.1
Two
gigahertz.
logical processors. And I'll have you know it can run at 2.7 gigahertz. Boost.
Yeah, but it's a 1.1 gigahertz.
Oh, it's got 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah. Slots used 1 of 2. Might have an empty slot in it, as if you're going to upgrade the RAM in this thing. God, people... Just like, this is a modern computer. People walk out of Currys with laptops like this, and they come in here going, oh, I just bought this laptop. It's ever so slow. And I'm like...
Yeah, because it's shit.
Yeah.
You need to just tell them blunt that you
Oh,
got ripped off.
I do, yeah.
You need to tell them that they were scammed.
Oh, I do.
And the solution is to get a refund.
Yeah, kid gloves are off these days. I'm savage. And I'm like, I say this to people, and I say to them, I hate to be blunt about it, but this is the reality, you know. Oh, I'm going to have one of those as well. Take the bottom off to show it to the stream. Why does the disc say SD? Because that's basically what it is. It's an SD. eMMC is basically an SD card. Yes, I will take the bottom off. I'll wait for it to... Oh God, we've got to wait for it to install this round of updates before we can do anything else. I can probably just pop the bottom cover off just for the lols. Eh? Oh, you're going to check in on the other computer. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think this is actually going to be very exciting to look at. I think we're going to see a fairly heartbreaking 2-cell battery and a circuit board the size of a mobile phone with some copper across it. That much being said, what we might see is an empty RAM slot that you could put another 4 gig RAM module into and an M.2 slot.
So you can now spend more money than it cost to purchase, upgrading it to what it should have been when purchased.
Absolutely. However, if someone has no warranty, like they can't take it back for whatever reason, you know, and they're like, I don't have any options, I need this thing to work, could you upgrade it? I mean, I don't think I can see any world where that would be advisable, but...
What you'd do is you'd sell them a Latitude. I need this computer to work. No, you don't. You need to buy a Latitude.
Ugh. Look at the battery. All right. 42 watt hours. It's bigger than that Lenovo that I was talking about earlier on. That's really, really funny.
So what's the insides look like? I
yeah.
see.
Yep. Motherboard, copper plate, which is lukewarm to the touch at full load because it's probably like a 5 watt CPU.
What's that next to the Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah, we've got an M.2 slot. Boys, we have an M.2 slot. You could put an 8 terabyte SSD in this. We don't have expandable RAM, even though Windows says there's another slot available.
Is it soldered?
Yeah, it will be. And there's no actual slot that exists, but I guess there is there's a channel available on the PCH, so Windows sees that. And yes, just a soul-crushingly small battery. Okay, that's I'm done laughing at that. I'm going to put it back together again and just carry on making it work.
In the loosest semblance of work.
M2 SATA, I guess. No, it'll be NVMe. M.2 SATA is basically non-existent now. M.2 SATA had a really short lifespan. It existed for a short amount of time until NVMe became affordable and then disappeared off the face of the earth.
You're not actually clicked in.
Oh, that'll be why it won't reach, yeah. I'll put another screw on, then I'll go around and... Oh, wow, that was miles out, wasn't it? There we go.
This thing is not upgradable and should not be upgraded, and you should not attempt to upgrade it.
This is not a place of honour. Good. For a moment, I was like, how long is the screw that I put in that corner? Because I might have just long screwed the chassis.
It's okay, you could long screw through the motherboard and upgrade it.
Short out the main power rail to overclock it. That really take that screw? It must do, because I've only got these left. No, that's not right.
I can only presume
There must have been a missing screw.
there
Because
are little ones in the middle. Sorry, there are big ones in the middle.
I must have put another short screw somewhere. Because I've got one screw remaining and it doesn't go there. It's not that one. What the hell have I done here? I don't have enough short screws. That's a short. I haven't lost a screw because I've got the correct number of screws. However, I've put a short screw somewhere. 3 short screws. That's a long. That's a long. That's a long. Where? Why is there an odd number of short screws? There we go, that's a short. There we go. Don't know how I managed that, but it's solved now. The last screw. Do you want to hit restart on that for me, please?
Is it actually finished?
It has. Probably.
Yeah.
What were we actually going to do with this one once we got Windows on it? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was going to just check if that CPU cooler could hack it, just for science, but I think we all know that the answer to that is going to be no, so I don't think there's much point in that. However, those fans are tolerable, 7 volted. So yeah. Thoughts on the case? Yeah, not going to buy it again, but it's not awful. It's good for a cheap case, I think. Right, this one, yeah, that's just got drivers and stuff to do. Right, I'm going to drop into the BIOS on this just so we can see what options there are. Right.
We're all looking for a nice long screw, but some of us have to take what we can get.
Right, reboot. USB 2 in the front of the case? No, it is actually... Oh, it's got both.
It's 2 USB 2, one type, one USB 3.
Yeah, I hadn't spotted that. Otherwise, I would have called that out earlier on, because that constantly frustrates me that they'll put a single USB 3 port there. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just put 2 USB 3s? You're already running a USB 3 cable. How is it cheaper to run 2 USB 2s and a single USB 3? I've heard people say that it's for compatibility because people are running boards that don't have USB 3, but I'm like, you've got to go back to more than a decade old for that now. Why the hell are you still manufacturing cases to meet that spec?
Yeah, you shouldn't, in my opinion.
Like, if you're running hardware that old, then you just don't get front USB 2, or you have to buy an adapter.
Or you don't buy a brand new case for
more than decade-old hardware, yeah. I think they're expecting cheap hardware with only one USB 3 port, but that's the thing. There's no such thing as a one USB 3 port. The header has the header supports 2 ports. The header that this is plugged into is a 2-port header.
The header on the motherboard is always.
Yeah, it's really odd.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm in the BIOS. Let's go to advanced mode. The BIOS looks very nice on this, I'll give it that. It's a modern looking BIOS.
Dual capture.
Yeah. Do we get HDMI from BIOS? Let's find out. I think we might.
Oops. Let's try that again.
No. No capture in BIOS mode. No.
Fair enough.
Right. Oh. Managed to crash it, apparently. Yep. Unless... Nope. I managed to crash it in BIOS. Weird. Okay, right, let's try that again. F7. I will just simply provide commentary instead. Right, boot. Fast boot. Security. Secure boot. Yep, secure boot can be disabled. So yeah, I'll do that to force it out of S mode.
Does S mode require secure boot?
It does,
or does
yeah.
disabling secure boot enable you to disable S mode?
Secure boot is a requirement of S mode. So if you start it with secure boot turned off, that automatically forces you out of S mode. So yeah, and that's often faster to do because the official way to break out of S mode is to download an app from the Microsoft Store that is disable S mode. And you only have to do that once. Once it's been done once, that's it, it's done. And you are permanently out of S mode.
It's brakes mode.
Brakes mode, yeah. So yes, that will work. Right, save and exit. Ooh.
Huh. That's unfortunate.
Did you turn off? Yes. Ah. Right. Time to find out how terrible this cooler will manage.
Where is the... Ah, there you go.
Ah, well, we're idling at 50 degrees, so... Lin pack, oh no. Okay, make sure you've at least got this on show before you hit go.
There we go.
Let's just what? Yeah. Probably need to enable disable or something. There we go. Oh, the bloody capture.
Huh.
Yeah, capture has died again, so you'll have to take our word for it. However, that 100% load? Or is it ramping up?
We'll see.
Because it went to 65 degrees, and I'm like, are you sure? Because that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on with that. I need to try another USB cable again. Because we are on a USB 2 cable at the moment. I need to buy more USB-C cables.
There you go. 70C.
I mean, that's fine. If that's actually 100% load. Yeah, Core C0 residency, 100%. I guess heat soak is going to catch up with it. That can't be right. There's no way that that's actually managing.
I don't know. We'll see if it actually does any work.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so we're waiting for that to spit out results. What does that look like in terms of times?
Oh, there you go. It was actually doing maths.
Yeah. Is that score any good?
A massive 243.9 gigaflops.
That doesn't mean much to me.
A 5950X is 600.
Oh. Yeah. Also, though, the 5950X is going to be substantially more powerful, so...
Yeah. But yeah...
I mean, it's not thermal throttling. What's... actually, it's still running,
No.
isn't it? What's the actual heat load? The package power? CPU package power, it's
76 watts.
Yeah, that seems low for a 7900X. I'd expect the 7900X to be looking for the mid-80s, right? Because the 5700X, because the 5800X is looking for 120 watts. So yeah, 77 watts on a 5700X. That sounds low. I'm not sure if XMP is turned on. Yeah, I think we're bottlenecking somewhere. Incidentally, we have now successfully exited S mode on this, so I can now run the wireless LAN installer. Let's see. Yeah, TDP 65, WPPT 88. So yeah, 77 watts. That's about right, apparently. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe the 7700 is maybe the 5700X is just a lot less powerful than I thought. I thought it was only a hair slower than the 5800X.
Yeah, its boost clock's 100 megahertz less.
Yeah. But like its package power is way lower.
Its PPT should be 144 watts.
Oh, missed BIOS, doesn't matter. Right. Alright, if this thing manages to have wireless, what change did you make?
Enabled XMP.
Alright, yeah.
Oh, that's why. I actually fit some stuff on screen now.
Yeah, we'll see if this does anything else. Although, yeah, that package power sounds about right. So if the score jumps up a bit with XMP, because obviously Linpack does like RAM speed, doesn't it? So because we're in XMP, we should see a significant improvement in the score on that, which will make it sound a lot, which should hopefully give us something that seems a lot more realistic for the CPU. Right, have I got wireless yet? We're going to wrap up in a minute, I think, folks. Kind of curious as to what this does just for science, because, like, if it can run with that cooler, then that's kind of rad. Although, to be honest, I think I'll put a nicer cooler on it anyway, just for pimp value. It has still not found wireless. This still needs more drivers. But yeah, we'll give that some time. I've enjoyed this fantastic stream in S mode. Indeed. Yeah, interesting exploration about the case. Still wouldn't buy more of them, but it's not terrible. It's not as bad as it... Those fans aren't as awful as I thought they were going to be. I'm not going to say they're good, but they're passable. They're usable. Come on, Linpack. Give us 350 gigaflops. I'm going to guess. How many cores is the 5950X again? Is it 16 core? 32 thread. Yeah. So actually getting about half the power from this CPU because it's got half the cores and threads, that's actually about on point, isn't it?
Roughly.
Yeah, because 250 sounded horrendous. Oh, we've gone down. What happened? We've gone down to 210. Okay. Probably needs some tuning. However, our temperature is still at the low 70s, so we're not throttling. That's kind of odd. Because, yeah, I wouldn't trust that cooler on a 5600X. So that's kind of rad that it's... I'm kind of astonished that it's managing with a just shy of 80 watt load. Because I would not class that as an 80 watt cooler.
Yeah.
Oh well. Heat saturation second run? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Needs some more tuning. We're not going to do that now because I am tired and we've been going for over 3 hours. So I'm ready to wrap up. What's the next video in the pipe? I'm not sure actually. I don't have anything lined up. I'm probably going to do I've got a no post on Sundays that I could do, which is about plugging in cables properly. Again, normally a video that will get thrown out, but they're going out as no post on Sundays these days. So I will do that. So yes.
Will that be going out tomorrow?
I haven't edited it yet. But on the flip side, because of how easy it is, I might bash it out in like an hour tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might go out tomorrow morning. So yeah. All right. Yeah. I think we're done. We're kind of waiting for this to come around with a second score. Although I can't imagine the second score is going to be meaningfully higher. Unless it got upset by the fact that you were tabbing in and out or something.
Yeah.
No, 207. That's kind of weird that the score has gone down. Do you think that's some really crap timings in the XMP profile?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's kind of wild that we
sure.
turned on XMP and lost speed. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, because the timings have got looser by enabling X and peaks.
Interesting. That's another classic sign that XMP is not always better, folks. That's really depressing.
Yeah.
So yeah. This is something that we'll look at off screen though, because like I say, my brain is currently mush and I'm struggling to point in recovering the stream. Oh no, reconnection successful. I think we might be back.
There you go. Oh well, anyway. We will see you next week.
We hear you, we're back. Bye.
Goodbye.